commentary tent tonight is Ryan McGee, Sean Moran and Adem Baroli. Adem, cup time. We had such fun a couple of weeks ago at South Springvale versus South Cardiff. Now we get to see what the Hyundai A-League clubs do when they come to this competition.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to tonight's occasion, and hello to everyone that's listening in. As you mentioned, last game against South Springvale and South Cardiff, that was an absolutely entertaining game. We went all the way to penalties, really enjoyed that game, and tonight it looks like it should be an absolute cracker at Morshead Park. The pitch is in excellent condition, and the teams we've just been released look pretty good too.
Ryan McGee, welcome back to broadcasting with our crew, of course. Normally we do the National Premier Leagues Victoria. We've stepped up to the FFA Cup tonight, and unfortunately, like many players, you've been hit by a mid-season injury, but it's great to have you back with us in the tent tonight.
Oh, it's good to be back, and it's not too much of a bad game to come back to either. It should be a great spectacle here in Ballarat. The weather is a little chilly, but I'm sure it'll all heat up once these two teams get started. Really exciting to be here tonight.
And as part of our preview show, we are also joined by Sean Moran, who will be keeping an eye on all things social media for us tonight. Hashtag FFA Cup and hashtag MBCVSYD, Melbourne City versus Sydney FC. Sean Moran, you'll be the man across all of that, but also we'll be leaning on you for a bit of analysis too, as you are, of course, a regular follower of the Hyundai A-League in the press pack. It's great to have you on board.
Thanks very much for having me, Theo. Very much looking forward to this game here, and gee, what a great spectacle this is going to be. A fantastic crowd already building. We're only over half an hour until we kick off here, and you know, a great stadium that we've actually got here in Ballarat tonight. It's looking quite good, and just really cannot wait to get this underway.
All right, so let's go. Sean Brown, I'll get you to line up the other matches around the grounds, but in the meantime, let's go to tonight's lineups for both teams. They're both actually warming out in front of us here. If you're watching the Vision stream on sydneyfc.com.au or melbournecityfc.com.au, welcome. We will be bringing you pictures of tonight's match to go with the commentary. So it's a fantastic initiative, and we thank all the key stakeholders, Football Federation Australia, the two clubs and Fox Sports, for allowing this to happen tonight. In goal for Melbourne City, Andrew Redmayne, the captain, Rob Viellart. 6, Aaron Moy. 7, Ian Ramsey. 8, Massimo Madoka. 11, Damien Duff. 15, David Williams. 17, Jason Hoffman. 22, Nick Kalmar. 23, Mate Duganzic. And 24, Patrick Kisnorbo. On the bench for City, 14, James Brown. 19, Ben Garuccio. 20, Tando Valafi. 21, Stephen Mork. And 26, Ross Archibald. So missing tonight, Connor Chapman, Robert Corrin, the marquee signing, Jonathan Germano, Paolo Retre, Jacob Melling and Marco Stavagna. So we were hoping that Corrin might make the bench at him, but well, there is plenty of time for him to integrate himself into this Melbourne City squad. What's your read on the strength of the team they've put out here at Ballarat tonight?
Well, it looks as if it's a pretty strong lineup tonight. John Van Schip has gone with what looks to be maybe a 4-2-1-3 formation, and Nick Kalmar's coming to the side. Through John Van Schip's first reign in charge, Nick Kalmar was a very prevalent player, liked to play that holding midfield role, that real anchoring and that long ball. So it's John Van Schip's fielded a pretty strong lineup. As you mentioned, the players out. The only real big, as we know, the international marquee, Robert Corrin, he's not playing, but I think it's due to match fitness and training fitness. So, yeah, unfortunate for Melbourne City fans, they don't get to see Robert Corrin tonight. But other than that, Melbourne City have put out a pretty strong lineup tonight.
Sydney FC's lineup is as follows. In goal, we have 20, Vedran Janjetovic, and then 2, Seb Ryle, 3, Sasha Ognanovsky, 5, Matthew German, 6, Nikola Petkovic, 7, Corey Gamero, 11, Bernie Ibini, 12, Haji Gligor, 17, Terry Antonis, 19, Nick Carl, and 20, Ali Abbas. So, Ryan McGee, some of the players who are on the fringe for the A-League All-Stars match at the weekend do make the starting lineup tonight. Even some players who got minutes in that game. So, Graham Arnold not at full strength with his team, so he's going to play the guys he's got. It's still a team which should be able to put up a very capable challenge to Melbourne City, and you never know, in the first competitive hit-out for Melbourne City, it may yet seem that Sydney are actually favourites, even though they haven't quite got the playing stocks of equivalent to Melbourne City tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. As you mentioned, Arnold was pretty adamant beforehand that they were possibly not going to be playing, but the guys from the All-Stars are obviously fit. He's deemed them fit enough to come into this and get a good start, and you know, the likes of Mark Yanko, unfortunately Alex Brosk and Shane Smelts won't be featuring due to just not being fit enough, and also suffering from a bit of injury as well. Coming into the pre-season, though, I think Arnold will be pretty happy. He's mentioned that he's been quite pleased with the performances that he's seen so far. The 3-2 win over the Bonnyrigg White Eagles and last week, and he was pretty impressed with that. It's also been a good week with the 3-1 win over West Ham, the 4-0 loss over Newcastle United. However, he was pretty adamant, ironically, that was one of the best games that he had seen Sydney play so far. It was just individual errors that really cost him, and also his first game since he took over in May with a 5-1 victory over MacArthur Rams. Like you said, it's not a full-strength squad, but it is very strong, and they will certainly give Melbourne City a run tonight, considering they don't really know what they're in for. So they just have to stick to their own game, see how that plays out, and I think they could pose a real threat for Melbourne City here tonight.
Make sure you tweet in hashtag FFA Cup and hashtag MBCVSYD for Melbourne City versus Sydney FC. We'd love to hear from you. We're live and interactive in the commentary box tonight, so let us know where you're listening or watching in from, and we will bring you full interaction with tonight's match. And Sean Moran will be across all of that, as well as around the grounds, because there are other FFA Cup ties being played tonight. Sean, what else is going on in the round of 32?
Plenty of football around Australia tonight, Teo. We've got a match in South Australia, a match in New South Wales, and two matches in New South Wales, and obviously the one here. The first one in South Australia is the Adelaide City versus Western Sydney Wanderers match. That's being played at the Martin Sports Complex. The second match is the Blacktown City match versus Bentley Greens. That's being played at Lillies Football Centre in Seven Hills. And finally, Sydney United 58 FC, coached by Mark Rudin, taking on the Far North Queensland Heat, who have actually got former A-League midfielder Zenon Caravella down there. So they'll be hoping to add to Queensland's quota in the FFA Cup going forward. So a few interesting fixtures to come, particularly that one with Western Sydney and Adelaide. The first time that a Hyundai A-League team and a member federation team are playing against each other in this competition.
We are counting down to kick off here in the Westfield FFA Cup. We're streaming on sydneyfc.com.au, melbournecityfc.com.au, and also audio stream simulcast on Livecast. Look for Livecast on the TuneIn Radio app. And don't forget, this crew does the Victorian National Premier Leagues every week. So if you like what you hear, come back and join us on Friday night from 8:25pm. Adem Baroli, let's talk about the first two nights of FFA Cup action. We were just dazzled and really romanticised by the South Springvale versus South Cardiff game. It went all the way to penalties. We had a loud crowd. We had two teams from fairly low reaches in the football pyramid in this country, and it delivered everything we could have hoped for. They were in the Herald Sun, they were on Fox Sports at the end of the night, and they were on commercial radio, they were on community radio, they were everywhere. South Springvale became nationwide famous for a day. How important do you think this is for the FFA Cup that we have a couple of these fairy tale stories? As great as it is to see a couple of Hyundai A-League teams tonight, David versus Goliath is what this competition was all about, and we really have had it delivered to us straight away right off the bat.
Yeah, as you touched on, David versus Goliath, that's what the FFA Cup's all about. You have the minnows versus the big sides, and one of the minnows, South Springvale, come up against South Cardiff, who ply their trade in the New South Wales Premier League. I think they were about 8th at the time in that league, and South Springvale 3rd tier in Victorian football. So for them to come out, draw 2-2, go to extra time and go to penalties, and for them to win on penalties was a fantastic night for Victorian football. But in general, football in Australia altogether, the FFA Cup is trying to bring up that kind of football with the minnows producing the goods against some of the bigger opposition, and for that to occur was just wonderful. And you see with the fans were absolutely emphatic with the victory. They were jumping around, and I, broadcasting the game, even got excited too. I think I might have started chanting here or there, but it was just very exciting, and it's good to see for football in Australia, and I think this is the competition that will really grow football.
In Victoria, Ryan, it's safe to say that we haven't actually sent our strongest teams into the Westfield FFA Cup by any means. South Melbourne, who are clear top of the table, not in this competition. They got knocked out by the Melbourne Knights. Oakley Cannons got knocked out. They actually played an understrength team in the Doherty Cup, not realising that the Final Four made it through to the FFA Cup. So Melbourne City kind of needs to win tonight for the Victorian interest, I reckon. We've got two smaller teams, St Albans from NPL 1, the 2nd tier, and South Springvale from the 3rd tier. But if there's going to be that match-up between the big Victorian team and the little Victorian team, Sydney needs to win, because Melbourne Victory, of course, we all expect them to beat Bayswater City over in Perth, but nothing is guaranteed about that. So how important for Melbourne City that they start tonight in their first competitive hit out with a win?
That's the beauty of the nature of this competition. You know, it's everyone loves to go for the underdog, and Victoria really does have that, as you've already said, with South Springvale defeating South Cardiff down in Bentley a few weeks ago. So it's really exciting. These two teams must be kicking themselves though to draw each other in the round of 32 match, considering some of the other opposition. But at the same time, it's a great hit out considering we're not in the A-League season as of yet. This will be a really competitive fixture. This is Melbourne City's first competitive fixture, so that's always really exciting to be a part of. It should be a really, really good run out for both sides, seeing as we do not have to wait the additional 2 months for the A-League to start. So for the likes of South Melbourne, like you said, they do have to play squads that aren't full strength, but they are also in the middle of their season, so different components and different consequences have led to that, unfortunately. But these two will really want to go at it, and you never know who's going to go through.
So livecast, don't forget, we will be bringing you, shameless plug, Friday night, Victorian Women's Premier League, Box Hill United versus Sandringham. I reckon those two teams will be pretty happy they're piggybacking off the back of this one, perhaps getting a few more listeners. We're watching both teams warm up in front of us at the moment. Adem, who do you really want to see play well tonight for City? Who are you looking forward to? You've been to a few training sessions. Who's perhaps your one to watch on the Vision stream tonight?
As I touched on earlier, Nicky Kalma under JVS, or John Van Schip, earlier on in his first reign, he was...
You're on nickname terms already with him.
So just force a habit. Yeah, and when John Van Schip was at the helm first up, he was a really prominent figure, and then he was played really well on a number of occasions, and then John Aloisi come in. He I think he was injured, hurt his back along the way, but then he struggled to get himself back into the starting lineup. And then after going to Melbourne City's training at Latrobe, I've been twice in the last 2 weeks, and I've seen Nick Kalmar is really featuring in what they're trying to do, trying to move the ball. He seems like a real central figure. And also Aaron Moy, I'm really looking forward to see. He come from Western Sydney Wanderers. He's featured a few times to the Socceroos, I think in a friendly over in Asia. And he's a class midfielder. His distribution of the ball is exceptional, and his vision. So I'm really looking forward to see him play. And there's also 2 more signings that will be making their debut for Melbourne Heart tonight. Melbourne City. James Brown and also Damien Duff, who's come over from Fulham in the English Premier League.
Now, Ryan McGee, who's the key man for Sydney in the absence of Shane Smeltz? Because we know he is a guarantee of goals in the Hyundai A-League. So in his absence tonight, who leads the line? No Alex Brosk either, so they're really perhaps down their best 2 attacking players. Who is going to get the job done?
I'm really liking the look of Corey Gamiero at the moment. His pre-season games, he scored two goals in the last game, I believe, against Bonnyrigg White Eagles, and he won them that match. And I think he also got a brace against West Ham as well, if I'm not mistaken. So he's looked really good. He's really filled in for those who have been out injured, so the likes of Mark Yanko and Alex Bross, and as you said, Shane Smeltz, who has guaranteed goals. It looks as though they've already got another young goal scorer who is filling the void, and he'll be really dangerous tonight because he really looks on red hot form. Also, Chris Naumoff, hopefully he gets off the bench. He looks like a really exciting prospect. He hasn't started, obviously. The likes of Ibini and Ali Abbas, who we didn't really expect to play, especially Ibini, since he did get a few minutes out in that All-Stars match. But they do start tonight. You wouldn't expect them to play the full 90 minutes, but hopefully I would say Chris Naumoff gets a run out today.
You're listening to FFA Cup Countdown on Livecast. We will have a vision stream for you, of course, on sydneyfc.com.au and melbournecityfc.com.au from 7:30pm. So make sure you join us for that simulcast right here on the Livecast channel on TuneIn Radio. For the next 2 minutes, we are going to take you back to a couple of weeks ago, the other round of 32 match that we covered and were lucky enough to be at Kingston Heath for on Livecast. Here is a brief highlights package of the match between South Springvale and South Cardiff. And it's in. South Cardiff have scored. A flick header on after a long throw. It's 1-0 and we've played just 4 minutes. South Cardiff 1, South Springvale 0, and the visitors get the all-important opening goal of the game. Lee Ashton has headed it in, and it's a shock here for the home fan. Plenty of players in the area, and it comes to the near post. Drakos made the run. Goal! Balls to the back post. It's 1-1, and I reckon it's Phil Damianos who got the header at the right-hand post. We've played 25 minutes. South Springvale 1, South Cardiff 1. Ball down the right-hand side, and he's in possession right here. He's going to swing it into the area, looking. Metcalf! Underside of the bar, and then off the left-hand post. 2 sets of woodwork. Balcom, 5 minutes from the top of the area, slides through. Wallace, 2-1. South Cardiff with a fantastic goal. And Wallace has scored in the 41st minute. It's South Cardiff 2, South Springvale 1. Clinical finish,
and incisive passing through the defence. Still happening 10 minutes from the area. Through Dimitrakopoulos!
No!
It's 2-2! And Sotiris Dimitrakopoulos has equalised for South Springvale! What a moment in the FFA Cup in the 79th minute! It's South Springvale 2, South Cardiff 2. Here's a last chance here. Jared Johnson, left foot shot, blocked through the right side of the area. Ashton, and it's hit straight at Dasher, who makes the save. And the last act of regulation and extra time is a save from Dasher. Is that a forerunner to what we might see penalties? Gazzard, the long throw specialist. What's he like from the penalty spot? South Cardiff second kick. It's Gazzard. He goes over. 4-3 on penalties.
Jared Johnson.
It's match point. South Springvale. Jared Johnson, another excellent player for his team. Can he score? It's over! Ronnie Dowsher sends South Springvale to the round of 16. A sensational penalty shootout win. 4-3 on penalty kicks. They come from everywhere. And South Springvale of State League 1 Southeast are heading to the round of 16. This is what the FFA Cup is all about.
It certainly is, and that is what is waiting in the round of 16. South Springvale from State League 1 Southeast at Emberoli. That's one of the most enjoyable nights I've had commentating a game of football. Perhaps I think that was obvious from the audio coming through, but just to go back a couple of weeks ago, that's what cup football is all about, isn't it?
It's, yeah, as you mentioned, it's all about that. It's wonderful, as I mentioned earlier, the State League 3 side in Victoria to come up against the New South Wales Premier League side, who are roughly mid-table, to come up and put a real fight up against them in front of their home fans, to get the all support behind them. I think there was about 1,500 people there at the game, correct me if I'm wrong.
I think the official crowd, was in the 1,400s.
Yeah, so it was magnificent to see on a cold, wet, windy night at Kingston Heath. But yeah, as you mentioned, that's what football's all about, and that's what this Football Federation Australia Cup brings. You know, you got your minnows versus your giants, and hopefully we can see a lot more of that. And so I'm really looking forward to tonight's game.
All right, so we are counting down to kick off here at Morshead Park in Ballarat. Sean Moran, you actually came out here in the National Premier Leagues Victoria for a match between the Ballarat Red Devils, the home team that plays out of this ground in South Melbourne. The ground wasn't quite finished that day. It was also poor weather. We're under a tent tonight, for anyone wondering. If you just jump on the FFA Cup hashtag, you can actually see a photo of said tent and the setup here at Morshead Park that we're broadcasting out of. But Sean, what was it like the day you came out here when it wasn't quite ready to come out of the oven, the venue?
Very different, Teo. I think tonight we can't say that we've got ideal conditions. The ground is quite moist and there's been a lot of rain around the Ballarat area in the last couple of hours, but it's dried up. It's looking a lot better now. The grass is looking markedly superior to what it was that day. The grandstand is looking a lot better. I think there's a corporate area up there which is finally complete. It wasn't at the time. There's a lot of shelter for the fans, and the pitch is in. I can't believe how good the condition it's going to be. It's going to really facilitate some good football tonight, and we know that both these teams like to keep the ball on the deck, and I think that we're going to see a lot of that tonight, and really can't wait for it to just get underway.
Ryan McGee, what was your impression of how the pitch was playing there in the warm-up for both teams? Sean mentioned there's a bit of dew on the ground, but I saw the pitch when I first got here, and I thought, you know what, middle of winter, so many grounds in Victoria suffering around the National Premier Leagues. This would probably be one of the better ones, and aside from Amy Park, I'm not sure that Melbourne City could have done much better as far as picking a home venue for tonight.
No, they've done very well in choosing the venue, and up here in Ballarat, the ball's been gliding along the surface during the training. Sydney have already went inside. Melbourne City are just doing that now, but it's looking really, really good. As Sean said, it might be a little bit slippery. I don't expect too much though. The grass is really clean cut, and we have a great attendance out here as well. So I expect a great atmosphere for tonight's game.
And we are not far away from kick-off because both teams have headed back into the tunnel. We're 10 minutes away now from the start of the match. There are fans milling around the outer side of the ground, the broadcast wing, as we'll call it. Plenty behind the goals at both ends, and the stand is packed, and that was full a solid hour before the match. The crowd tonight at M, what do you reckon? Maybe 1,000 already? Maybe 1,500?
Yeah.
Maybe even more. Gee, I'm glad I got a good car park by arriving here 4 hours early. It looks like a very good attendance here, and I'm sure the city of Ballarat They love the big events out here in Ballarat, and I reckon they'll be chuffed with the attendance tonight so far.
Yeah, I reckon there are probably around 1,500 people here tonight, and with 15 minutes to go, you expect the crowd to come. We'll have a bit more crowd here, but yeah, as you mentioned, a cold, windy night in Ballarat, and it's good to see so many fans come out, 1,500 roughly, and as I mentioned, more should come out, but it's good to see. As I mentioned earlier, the FFA Cup, it's what it's all about, bringing fans out, bringing some of the best clubs in Australia versing each other, and as you guys mentioned on the pitch is in remarkable condition, but this whole facility itself, it's developed wonderfully. There's 3 pitches, I think, around the main pitch. They've got 2 on either side, 1 behind, and then I think they've got maybe a quarter-sized pitch also, which is synthetic. So Ballarat have put on a great facility here at Morshead Park, and hopefully it brings some entertaining football tonight.
This is the Westfield FFA Cup, streaming on the web at livecast.com.au and livecast on TuneIn, and Vision is on sydneyfc.com.au and also melbournecityfc.com.au. All right, let's run through the starting lineups again. So, let's go to the Melbourne City team. In goal, Redmayne, and then 3, Rob Violart, 6, Aaron Moy, 7, Ian Ramsey, 8, Massimo Madoka, 11, Damien Duff, 15, David Williams, 17, Jason Hoffman, 22, Nick Kalmar, 23, Mate Deganzic, and 24, Patrick Kisnorbo. Sean Moran, we've only just had a World Cup. Could David Williams or Mate Deganzic harbour any hopes of making it to Russia in 2018? It's a long way away. They would be classified as veterans by that stage. But is there enough talent coming through Australian football to perhaps displace those guys if they can just remain good, solid professionals for the next 4 years?
Look, Teo, I think if you'd asked me a year ago, I probably would have said perhaps they do. But after seeing our performance at the World Cup and seeing the youth really step up under Ange Postecoglou, I think they're going to have a hard time getting there. I think David Williams has sort of been, virtually knocking on the door for a long time now, but he hasn't been able to get through. Mate Deganzic is a lot younger and probably has more of an opportunity, but after seeing what we did over there in Brazil and seeing the youth that Ange Postecoglou put his faith in, it's going to be very tough for them. But notwithstanding that, they've got 27 rounds in an FFA Cup to show their worth, and good luck to them. It'll be great to see some more A-League players really stepping up to the national team level.
Just to touch on that also, I think Ange Postecoglou took to Brazil 10 out of the 30 were plying their trade in the A-League or have played in the A-League. And I think at one stage against Chile, maybe all of the players that were on the pitch had either played in the A-League or were playing in the A-League. So it's just a testament to see how far that the A-League has come, and it's just good for Australian football.
Absolutely. Ryan McGee, Sydney FC's team. Let's talk about some of their potential Socceroos. Nick Carl, we think the door is closed there. Bernie Abini, still great hope for him. Maybe if he gets back to Europe. Sasha Ogdanovsky, the door is, you would suspect, closed for him. Seb Ryle, maybe a stopgap option at best. So maybe the likes of Haji Gligor, Chris Normov, Terry Antonis, Peter Triantis. It doesn't scream future Socceroos, this team, but perhaps Sydney FC fans on Twitter, #FFA Cup, might care to disagree. Perhaps there is a jewel in the crown. And, of course, let's not forget, they did win the Foxtel National Youth League last season, so we know that they do have some good talents that they are developing.
No, they did win the youth division last season, and that's something that you can't sneer at. They performed very, very well. I think in particular, as you said, Bernie Abini, who would maybe like to get back into Europe, but he will have taken plenty of heart from being told by Juventus coach Massimo Allegri the other night that he was performing quite well and he liked the look of him, so that will really have raised his spirits. And Graham Arnold didn't think that he would be playing the full 70 minutes on Sunday. He thought he was only going to be playing 45, hence why we thought he was going to be such a doubt for this match. But he's shown himself to be fit. He obviously wants to play tonight, so he's got that opportunity, and where else to start against the new Melbourne City FC.
Love this tweet coming through from David King, or King David on Twitter. It's not the David King. Gotta love an 8-minute drive to a Melbourne City match. #FFA Cup. And of course, there is a David King that plays for the Ballarat Red Devils, so I can only assume that it is he. And for the Ballarat Devils, of course, highlights of their match against Green Gully are now on the Football Federation of Victoria National Premier League's YouTube channel. So if you're from somewhere else in Australia other than Ballarat and you want to see what their local team is all about, they've got some ripping players. And we saw Deng Agwek, the striker for the Ballarat Red Devils, score one of the goals of the season. I'm very happy to have found out that it was being filmed, so it will make Alan Delich's famous National Premier League's Victoria Goal of the Month clip for the next month. But Ballarat, not exactly known as a football heartland, but it's great to see they've got a team in the top state league in Victoria, and nights like tonight may well ignite the passion for youngsters here to go and have a kick at the Red Devils, and maybe they'll be playing in the National Premier Leagues in future.
Yeah, that Dingergwet goal was fantastic. During the call, I mentioned it was a bit Drogba-esque against Liverpool. He was able to turn on the edge of the 18-yard box, flick it behind his leg, and then on his left foot, just powered it straight into the top corner. The keeper had no chance. It was a wonderful show of skill, and then only a few minutes later, in the second half, at the other end, he turned again from about 25-30 yards out, shot, curled it straight into the upright and the crossbar. So it was a fantastic effort. He showed a lot of skill last night, but as you mentioned, it is great to see Ballarat, and I saw James Robinson, the former Melbourne Victory player, now coach of...
Former Melbourne Victory legend, you've got to say.
He did score the crucial goal a few years ago.
Just quickly, if I may interrupt and take us off on a tangent, the greatest goal scored in A-League history? Yes?
Potentially.
No? I think it's got to be. I don't think there's anything close.
Context-wise?
Context.
Yeah, it was. I was there actually at Etihad that day, and the crowd, I've never seen anything like it.
So was I. I can still feel the hug from Melbourne Victory Media manager Damien Souness in the press box. It was bedlam. Adam Baroli, sorry to interrupt.
I forget what I was talking about now, but... Oh, yeah, it's good to see that James Robinson's coming out in support of the Ballarat area and coaching Ballarat Red Devils. But, the community football, the FFA Cup, Melbourne City coming out to, and Sydney FC coming out to Ballarat is wonderful football. And as you mentioned a few minutes ago, there's about 1,500 here. I think it's lifted a little bit, and the fans have come out in numbers, which is good on a cold night.
And basically, well, being in Ballarat as well, if you want to go to Melbourne and watch a game, that's an hour and a half drive.
Yeah.
It took me 2 hours to get here through the Melbourne traffic, and just to come out and have so many spectators it's really great to watch, and it's they don't get it enough, and this is one of the games that Melbourne City has begun to call a home away from home game, so hopefully they can really come out tonight, show themselves in force. We can already hear the fans, and it's the players aren't even out yet.
You just touched on the fans. We were complaining about 2 hours travel. The Cove, Sydney's cheer squad, so their active support group have come out.
They're listening on the Sydney FC, the SFCU forum. Adam, don't call them a cheer squad.
Yeah, their active support group, the Cove's come out, and they've travelled a few hours either by bus, plane or car, whatever it is, and it's good to see them out and about. And also Melbourne City's new active support group, the Melburnians, formerly known as Yarraside, they've changed now. New people have taken over that, so the Melburnians also the first outing for them tonight, which is good to see.
Yeah, for both sets of fans tonight, we're all forgetting who's taking the pitch tonight for Melbourne City, and that's Damien Duff.
Exactly.
Not the marquee player for Melbourne City, but one of the greatest players to, I think, grace these shores. Played 17 years in the English Premier League, over 100 caps for the Republic of Ireland, featured at the 2002 World Cup and captained Ireland at the 2012 European Championship. A magnificent player. We saw him, when I was a kid playing for Chelsea, and we've seen him play for Fulham until recently. He's going to be a fantastic sight for people to watch here, and what better player to watch in the A-League than someone like Duff, who still has it at this level. I just can't wait to see him go down the right and left flank tonight and really show what he's made of and why he's been at the top level for so many years.
Here come the teams. That is it for our countdown show. Up next, it is the Westfield FFA Cup.
You're listening to the Westfield FFA Cup. Let's go to the livecast commentary team and join Teo Palazzeri.
All eyes turn to Ballarat. This is the Westfield FFA Cup. Melbourne City FC taking on Sydney FC from Morshead Park in Ballarat. Good evening to everyone watching on melbournecityfc.com.au, sydneyfc.com.au, and also streaming this match on the TuneIn Radio app. Just search for Live Cast if you can't stay with our pictures for the full night. Melbourne City and Sydney FC exchanging handshakes out on the ground as we speak. It is going to be a cracking match in this FFA Cup round of 32 contest. And of course, there will be State League teams waiting in the round of 16, hoping that their big day and their big time to shine against one of these two will be coming in the next round. But right now, we've got to sort out who exactly it will be. My name's Teo Palazzeri. Hello and welcome to our coverage. Joining me tonight in commentary, Adem Baroli, Ryan McGee and Sean Moran. Sean, quickly, around the grounds, what are the other matches that we will be listing out for scores for in the Westfield FFA Cup tonight?
The game in South Australia tonight, Teo, is between Adelaide City and the Western Sydney Wanderers. In New South Wales, we have Blacktown City taking on Victorians' own Bentley Greens. And in New South Wales once more, we have Sydney United 58 FC taking on the far North Queensland Heat.
All right, so 3 other matches going on. This is an all A-League showdown, though, and we thank all the stakeholders involved from making tonight's broadcast possible. The 2 clubs, Sydney FC and Melbourne City, the FFA, and, of course, also Fox Sports. It is an absolute pleasure to be with you here in Ballarat, Morshead Park, with about 2,000 fans in the house now, ready to get started in this one. Adam Baroli, who is going to win and why?
Well, I think Melbourne City have fielded out a stronger lineup of the 2 teams, so I'm predicting them to win. But again, I don't know how, or none of us know how both teams are going to play. But I think maybe just basically on the lineups that they've given us, I think Melbourne City should win, considering Sydney have lost some of their key players for this game.
Ryan McGee, there was certainly some disappointment from Sydney FC's fans, and maybe even a little bit of sentiment that they weren't quite doing everything within their power to win the cup. But it seems as though they've made a final decision here to play the players that were part of the A-League All-Stars lineup, and that would suggest that they have come here to win tonight in spite of missing some of their most important cogs in this team.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a strong side, and Gray and Arnold said before the game they're kind of walking into the unknown. They don't really know what this Melbourne City side is going to produce, and it's something that we really have to look forward to and wait and see. I'm going to predict a narrow Melbourne City win, them being the home away from home team. So we'll see how it works off, but Sydney to kick off, and should be a great match.
Tonight's referee is Sean Evans, a Victorian who we see regularly around National Premier Leagues Victoria. Sydney FC to kick off. They're going to the right of your computer screen or the right of your smartphone screen if you're watching us or listening to us from your phone. It's underway. The Westfield FFA Cup round of 32. This is Melbourne City versus Sydney FC. Hello to our interstate and international audience joining us tonight, and everyone back in Melbourne as well. Tweet in hashtag FFA Cup and hashtag MBC versus SYD. And we are live and fully interactive. Ball out of bounds on the right. Looked a little bit foul throwish there from Ryle. He brings the ball back in looking for Carl. It's knocked away from him. And so Kisnorbo clears it up to halfway. It is going to be taken now for Sydney FC. Out to the right. Overhit and out of bounds. Both teams just settling in at the moment.
Throw in now for Melbourne City in their defensive half. Sydney on the ball early on. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how both teams pan out. Only a few minutes in. I'm really looking forward to this game, Teo.
So here's the throw. On the right, cleared high. Down the left-hand side. Underneath our camera bringing you tonight's match, and also our broadcast tent on the outer side here at Morshead Park. We'll call it the grandstand wing and the broadcast wing for those of you listening to the audio simulcast. Of course, those of you with the live pictures, I'm going to need to keep that in mind tonight. For those of you just tuning in for the first time, this is the National Premier League's Victoria broadcast crew. We do one game a week. Teams like South Melbourne, the Melbourne Knights, Ben Greens, and some of the new boys like the home team here at Morshead Park, Ballarat Red Devils. Janjetovic gets his first touch, and Sydney in front of the travelling Cove, playing the ball out to the right. Ryle, good first touch. He wants to break, but instead Haji Gligor is looking back to Ognanovsky. In the sleeves tonight, they were probably told, a number of these Sydney players in the sleeves, that Ballarat would be cold, and I think it was an anticipated low overnight of 0. It has been snowing recently in Ballarat, so while we don't quite have the snow bowl for you, it is a chilly night. Sydney on the ball and retaining possession so far. Clearing header coming in. Only as far as halfway, though, so the pressure stays on. Here's the Sydney captain, Ognanovsky. Diagonal ball. And now, good touch by Gamero. And a shot, and that one is straight at Redmayne. A good attempt, and Redmayne sharp to make the save. First chance of the night.
Yeah, great initial takedown from Gamero. He's going to be a real threat tonight on that left-hand side of the park. Up front with Abine. He's just shown what he's been capable of the last few weeks by scoring 4 goals, and he already looks as though he's going to be very dangerous tonight.
Ball out to the right-hand side, and that one is a waste, out of bounds. One thing I'm thrilled about is no wind, because I was anticipating it might have been wild and woolly out here, Sean Moran, but it seems as though, all things considered, it's not raining, it's not windy. I reckon you couldn't have asked for better conditions for a game of football.
No, certainly not. We were always expecting that it was going to be cold down up here tonight in Ballarat, but yeah, like it has held up, and no particular extreme conditions, which we're all happy about underneath the tent here.
Passed all the way back to the left side of defence for Sydney, and now the long clearance comes. Opportunity for City. Kalmar, flick header on though. Kisnorbo, out to the right. Now turning in midfield, Madoka. We expect him to remain the engine room of this Melbourne City team. Fantastic player. And of course a holdover from the NSL days, got his break at South Melbourne, and then rode out the end of the NSL, started the A-League, and he's bounced around a number of clubs. But at Baroli, it is actually really heartwarming, pardon the pun, to see him now a key cog of this Melbourne City lineup.
Yeah, he's originally a Bundoora boy, so training out at La Trobe University in his hometown, home suburb. So yeah, he's a really imaginative and an energetic midfielder for Melbourne City, and he's lined up in a midfield three with also Aaron Moy and Nicky Kalmar in there. So the three of them hopefully should combine well tonight.
Speaking of Madoka, keeping the ball moving on this occasion, nice little passing triangle and the first foul of the night. Sean Evans, of course, no stranger to the long road trip at him. We actually called a sensational game that he reffed between Werribee City and the Goulburn Valley Suns up in Shepparton. And hey, you might be an A-League ref on Fox Sports one week, you might be at McEwen Reserve in Shepparton the other. Yeah,
that was a cracking game, finished 4-3. It was a very eventful game, I think. Werribee were up 4-0 at half-time, and then in the second half, GV Suns come up and kick 3 goals. But unfortunately for them, they were unable to get the victory as Melbourne City go forward and a foul on David Williams now.
So Williams had his ankles tapped, and Kalmar wants to take it quickly. Sweeps it over to the right. Now an opportunity for City on the overlap. Good ball. And it's out for the first corner of the night. Damien Duff getting his first touch. And so here is an opportunity. Aaron Moy has pulled rank. He'll be taking the set pieces.
Yeah, and it'll be really exciting. I think as Sean Moran said before the game started, we haven't really talked enough about how big an impact Damien Duff we think can bring to this because of the signings of Robert Corrin and obviously David Villa, who isn't here tonight. But he'll really be looking to make an impact in his first game.
Corner to the near post. Easily cleared away on that occasion by Abini. And now Sydney FC, it'd be an ambitious attempt for a counter-attack given there's no one ahead of the ball, and sure enough it runs out of bounds for a throw. Gee, it's been a bit of a low-key start. You wouldn't think it's a cup tie. Sean Moran, I guess South Springvale and South Cardiff a couple of weeks ago, the match played in Victoria, we'd already seen a goal, we'd already seen a host of chances, but this one, both teams, of course, Hyundai A-League sides settling in, just getting a feel for it, but they do need to bear in mind that if we're level at full time, we go 15 minutes each way of extra time.
Absolutely, yeah. Both sides feeling each other out in these early stages, but yeah, a lot to lose for both teams. And let's remember that the A-League season doesn't begin for another couple of months, and there are a few cobwebs that need to be dusted off. So I'm sure as the game proceeds, we'll start to see those cobwebs come off.
Ball out to the right. It's actually going to bounce right towards our tent, and Adam Baroli nearly gets his first touch. Adam.
Just to quickly touch on Melbourne City with Damien Duff and also Mate Dugunzic. Both the wingers have already switched sides. Dugunzic started on the left. Now he's gone to the right, and Damien Duff is on the commentary side on the left-hand side.
Williams tried to flip the ball to his advantage, but it was taken away. Nicely played there by Terry Antonis, and so the ball is now at the centre of defence with Petkovic. And now Sydney FC passing all the way back to Vedran Janjetovic. Good number of travelling fans. On the drive into Ballarat, I actually saw a number of young men walking around with aeroplane airport tags on their backpacks. So could only assume that they'd just jumped off a plane and made the trip out here. So very healthy number of travelling fans, and good to see FFA Cup being taken very seriously by the away team, the Cove.
Yeah, and that's absolutely what you want to see out here in Ballarat. It's such a big game, you know. This is arguably the game of the last 32, you know, Melbourne City versus Sydney in our first ever competitive game. So if you were ever going to fly out for one, why not now in the inaugural game of the tournament? Yeah,
and to add to that, we've had in the past few seasons a lot of A-League fans, including myself, not happy with the long length and the long delay between the conclusion of the season and the beginning of the next season, and what a great way to actually fill that gap in and satisfy the fans with competitive football than having a tournament that involves so many teams, both at the grassroots level and the big boys like we have on show tonight.
Ball up to halfway, battle in the air, out for a throw. And of course the next round of action is September the 16th, I believe, round of 16. So
a month away.
Yeah, still A-League pre-season, very much so, but AFL and NRL, all the domestic codes are clear by that stage, so it's a real chance again for football to take centre stage in the Australian sporting landscape.
And it'll be really interesting for the state teams in the NPL as well, because their seasons will be winding down at that stage, just as the A-League teams are really gearing up to get started. So there's a really interesting parallel between the sides that are just getting ready to finish their season and the ones at the top are really just beginning to start off.
Ibini to Carl, now sweeping it over to the left. And an opportunity for Sydney FC, high cross deep, no one home. It's going to go over the head of Ibini and run through the penalty area. City clearing from deep on the left. Williams. First touch, takes it back to the top of the box. That was dangerous. Nearly opened the door for Carl to come through. It ballooned off his chest, and Redmayne able to sweep onto the ball. And now, as we cross the 8-minute mark, Melbourne City starting to lift the tempo just a little bit. They might feel as though Sydney had their foot on the ball a little bit too much in this first 10 minutes or so, and Now they're going to start working their way into the match. Ramsey on the left. Looks up at the options. Tried a little bit of trickery to try and get round his marker there in Gligor, but it's been put out for a throw. And now he's surveying the options. Here's Aaron Moy. Freshly shaven head for tonight's FFA Cup match. Ball out to the left. And here goes Ramsey. Running at Gligor and Ryle. Overhits it. Still chases it down. Now to the top of the area. Williams back to goal. Tees it up. Moy plays it out to the left. Duff, natural left footer, holds the cross. Now pulls the trigger into the area. And it's cleared away. And out of bounds for a throw, but that was Hart's best move, City's best move of the night. That's one each. Adam, you and I.
Damien Duff moving onto that left-hand side and swapping over from the right. Be curious to see how many times he does that tonight as he tries to get that left boot of his into this game.
And it was a good initial run from Ramsey, being able to cut in between the two defenders. Nice little cutback as well. Unfortunately, Davis just overran it a little bit. But, Melbourne City starting to look more of a threat in this game.
Yeah, towards the back end of last season, Aaron Ramsey was originally a left winger, but he's made the shift back to left back, and particularly with Aziz Beach going back to Turkey as his loan finished, we might see him play left back more frequently. Same with
Williams. Kalmar. Pass is deflected. Danger not quite clear yet, and then Ryle gets it away. Shouts for handball. And for those of you watching on the Vision stream, you would have seen a fairly clear handball there for Corey Gamero. Referee Sean Evans wants to bring things back. Free kick taken too quickly. Hashtag FFA Cup and also hashtag MBCVSYD. Sean Moran, any goals around the grounds in the other games?
Nothing as of yet, so it looks like it's 0-0 in the 3 other games tonight thus far.
So no goals as yet. Ball in from the left. Here's an opportunity. Madoka heads it down. Shouts for handball. It was in front of the Sydney fans. They weren't the ones claiming it. Cleared. Gamero tries to run onto it. Ball is into the seating on the grandstand wing and out of bounds for a throw at Emberoli. Pretty ambitious shot on that occasion for a penalty, though.
Yeah, very ambitious. I think it come off Oganovsky. Massimo Madoka headed it at the back post. It was probably maybe 1 metre at the maximum away, and I don't think that should have been a penalty, and lucky enough it wasn't a penalty awarded by Sean Evans. But Ian Ramsey, very positive thus far, marauding down the left-hand side.
10.5 minutes gone in the Westfield FFA Cup, streaming on the Melbourne City FC and Sydney FC websites, and also simulcast the audio on livecast.com.au and the Livecast channel on TuneIn Radio. Ball out to the left. Ramsey driving forward. And now, dangerous back pass. Puts Kisnorbo into a 50-50. He slid in and did very well to get there ahead of Kisnorbo. Out to the right. And now a chance for Kalmar to Moy. A few little openings now for City. Can they exploit them, though? Duff wants to cut in board. Stays on his left foot and sweeps it over to Madoka. And now out to the right. Duganzic is there. He's cutting in as well. And they go all the way back to the centre of defence. But Melbourne City now retaining a bit more possession and starting to get on top.
Yeah, starting to dictate the game a little bit more, obviously, because Noble was not too happy with Ramsey, gave him a bit of luck, and Moy obviously not very happy there because Noble for passing it back. He thought he had a little bit of space, but he's just decided to play it safe. This is what we were expecting to see. Melbourne try and dictate in the play and control the possession, keep the ball on the ground, and try and keep it thick and fast. And with the players that they've got up front, the likes of Duganzic, Duff and Williams playing through the middle, they've really got the potential to do that.
Sean Moran, we've got an update from the Sydney United versus Far North Queensland game.
Yeah, it looks as if Sydney United are very much on top in that game. They're dominating possession and really taking it to the Queenslanders there. Hopefully for the Queenslanders' sake they can hold on. But a good start for Sydney United.
Kisnorbo passes it back to the centre of defence. And cleared away by Redmayne. Herbini pressing up. A bit more pressure starting to come on. Karl Ognanovsky. Gligor rolled his man, but pass ran long. Kalmar. Karl battling against him. Foul and advantage for Melbourne City. Back to Kalmar. Over to the left. Ramsey. Tries to go his own way. Moy comes across to help out. Duff is the option wide. Moy hits the left byline. Deep cross. Duganzic wins the header. It's an up and under though. And it runs out towards the byline, and it's easily collected by Janjetovic.
Yeah, very good ball there from Aaron Moy, of course, formerly of the Western Sydney Wanderers. He'll have a lot to prove to the Melbourne City fans, of course. Starting off very well at Western Sydney, but finishing off his stint there quite in a disappointing fashion. So he'll be wanting to solidify his position there in the midfield alongside Corrin and also Massimo Madoka.
Offside on this occasion. Of course, Adam Baroli, our man, the fourth official tonight. We need to give a shout out to Patrick Chaplin, great friend of ours in the National Premier Leagues Victoria. Very good referee, and we love his work.
Yeah, he's offering us the extra substitutions and who was substituted on and off for South Springvale and also South Cardiff. But he's done some great work in the NPL this season, and we really love his refereeing.
There's been a goal, Sean Moran.
There has at the Sydney United Sports Centre. It's Sydney United 58 FC 1 over the far North Queensland Heat 0. The 14 minutes in, it's Ante Tomic with the goal there for Sydney United.
So we are off the mark in the Westfield FFA Cup tonight. Sydney United 58 into the lead. Of course, the winner of the inaugural National Premier Leagues playoffs. And there will be a Victorian team there to challenge at the end of this NPL season. It will almost certainly be South Melbourne. And we're looking forward to the end of the season, the run home in the NPL. At Emberoli, the final day, we mentioned Shepparton earlier in the broadcast. That is where South Melbourne might be lifting the title, of course, because they head up to play the Goulburn Valley Suns on the final day. Although there's a very good chance that they may have mathematically sealed the league by that point, and it could well be a dead rubber. Yeah,
with only 5 or 6 games to go, it looks as if South Melbourne could well and truly wrap up the NPL. But GV Suns still, they can mathematically avoid relegation in the NPL and maybe drop down to NPL 1. There's still a few games to go. I think they're maybe 11 points behind Adrift. So unfortunately for them, it looks as if they may be relegated. But what if they have a chance to stay up? The final day, South Melbourne need a win to retain the NPL. So it could be an absolute cracker come the last round of the season.
Ball with Ramsey. He's been one of the outlets because Duff is right here with him. And on this occasion, safety first. Put out for a throw.
Not the first time we've seen Ian Ramsey and Damien Duff link up on that left-hand side. It'll be interesting to see how often they do that and how John Van Schip will approach this. They've got 3 up front, Melbourne City, with Williams, Degancic and Duff leading the line. So we'll see how that plays out and how they approach. But it looks as if thus far that they're really aiming to take it to Sydney FC from the flanks.
15 and a half minutes gone. It's 0-0. And City now on top, but this game is yet to reach any great heights, it must be said. Both teams perhaps playing unaware of the fact that they'll be doing an extra half hour of pre-season if it's level at full time, especially if it's a level 0-0. It might feel like that a little bit longer. I don't think anyone was complaining when South Springvale versus South Cardiff went to extra time a couple of weeks ago. That just ramped up the drama. Ramsey volleys it out of bounds, and that is a throw.
Just to touch on what Sean was saying, also heading down to Latrobe to watch Melbourne City train. They did a lot of work with Aaron Moy, Madoka, and also Kalmar, getting the ball and distributing out wide with Ian Ramsey and Jason Hoffman, both overlapping to Gunzic and Duff. So, it looks as if it's a really big key for Melbourne City going forward this season.
Ball down the left-hand side for Sydney FC. Cleared away, and that's out of bounds by Redmayne, and it's going to bounce on the roof of the new pavilion here. I hope there's a manhole up there where someone can go and grab the ball back. I've got to say, guys, disproportionately amused by the places around the National Premier Leagues Victoria where the ball is hoofed away to by no-nonsense defenders. Of course, at the match we broadcast last Friday night, Richmond versus Avondale Heights, there was one free on the Eastern Freeway for anyone game enough to go and get it, but good luck. And we're waiting now for the ball to be returned. A few outstretched hands. I think John Van Schip himself was quite frustrated about that. And we're seeing one official. Looks like he's rounding the corner flag off on a lap, trying to get a spare ball back. We do have the ball back in play, and Sydney are on the left. Carl turning. Dispossessed. Madoka. Back pass on the diagonal, and Redmayne will look to switch flanks.
Redmayne getting himself into a bit of trouble there, having to kick it out for the throw, saw no alternative, and giving the ball away.
Didn't trust his left foot.
Yeah, not at all. He just kicked it out instead of going for his left.
I guess play the percentages. You don't want to shank it straight to an attacker. Sydney FC get the ball back, though. Petkovic plays it out to the left. Sydney FC patient in the build-up. Antonis. And now Gligor to Abini. Back to goal. Moy pressing right up, keeping the pressure on. Retreat to Ognanovsky. And now the pressure comes again, and so it's all the way back to Janjetovic in goal. And Sydney FC will reload. Petkovic out to the left this time. Sold his teammate there into a little bit of trouble, but all's well that ends well. And again, they're happy to pass it round the back four.
Yeah, good pressing there by Melbourne City. They are able to get Sydney FC from their attacking third into their defensive third, and then eventually pass back to Janjetovic in goal. So that's what JVS will be looking. John Van Schip will be looking for Melbourne City to press Sydney right up, and then maybe catch them out on the break with their speed out wide.
Petkovic turned over. Moy out to the right-hand side. And now he wins the ball back, just as the player out there was advancing in Williams. It's out of bounds for a throw. Game in a bit of a lull. 18 and a half minutes gone. And on sydneyfc.com.au and melbournecityfc.com.au, it is 0-0 in the Westfield FFA Cup. Sean Moran, just repeat the one goal we've had around the grounds.
The one goal we've had is at the Sydney United Sports Centre, with Sydney United going 1-0 up. It was from a corner, actually, and Ante Tomilic tapping in the first goal there. So it's Sydney United 58, FC 1, Far North Queensland Heat 0.
This centre back for Kisnorbo. Now passing to Kalmar. Surveying the options. Chips it out to the left. Madoka. Up and under. And out of bounds for a throw.
Yeah, unlucky to keep it in there, because Novel's found himself in that situation quite a bit already, where he's kind of struggling for options to pass to due to Sydney's pressing game as well. It seems they both want to get up in each other's faces here. David Williams again doing that to the goalkeeper, Janjetovic, and it seems as though they're both willing to press, but neither really have created a clear-cut chance as of yet. Both just looking to keep possession, keep the ball, and try and create an opportunity out of that rather than just hoofing it up the park.
Oh, that clearance has been sliced out to the sideline. Ryle trying to make it work and gets fouled. Sean Evans coming over here, and Ramsey is going to be the first player booked in this match. Ambitious shouts of off coming from the Cove, but it's yellow straight out of the pocket. Ryle is down. Suspect he'll need some treatment here. And it is a yellow card. So we've got our first booking of the night, and we've played 20 minutes.
Yeah, good decision there by Sean Evans. That was a really rash tackle by Ian Ramsey to come forward and then push on. Seb Ryle looked as if he may have lost control of the ball, but he came in with his studs up, and I think he caught Seb Ryle on his quadriceps, his right quadriceps. So, yeah, a rash challenge there by Ian Ramsey, and a well-deserved yellow, I think.
So first booking of the night, and Ryle receiving treatment as we speak. On the roof, the ball went, and it's proven incredibly popular on Twitter. Hashtag FFA Cup.
First, and maybe many more to come.
Damien Duff, not familiar with playing in stadiums where the ball can be lost on the roof. Very good observation there by Jackson Butler. Thanks for tweeting in.
I've seen one or two get lost up in Craven Cottage. I'm sure it's perfectly possible there as well.
Ryan McGee, ladies and gentlemen. Ball to be restarted here by Ognanovsky. Ryle, it will be waved back onto the pitch straight away. He's all right to continue. Turned over, though. Kisnorbo hits it into the midfield. 50-50 in the air. Won by Moy, then Williams. And now Gligor gets the better of Moy. Ramsey plays it down the line. Ognanovsky's got the position here on Moy and can play it back to Janjetovic. Crowd breathed in anticipation.
Very, very fortunate ball there. It looked as though it just rolled under Williams' feet there.
Worked out for Sydney initially, but City have now got possession back. Kisnorbo. Now Ramsey. Kalmar. Over to the right. Hoffman. Got a little bit of space. Wants to go into the middle, though. Kalmar keeps it moving. Chested on by Duff. Hoffman making a run. Shouts for handball, not paid. Williams sweeps in, takes possession. City pressing. Moy to Ramsey. Level with the top of the box. Crosses it. Headed back into the danger area. Deganzic is there. Left side. Turns. Loses possession. Well tackled. No thoughts of appealing for a penalty there. Carl got the ball cleanly. And now Sydney FC breaking out of defence. Chance for a counter-attack. Gamero. Redmayne's out of his line. Gamero sliding it. It's rolling. It's going. It's a goal. And Sydney FC lead in the 23rd minute. Corey Gamero scores on the counter-attack. And in the Westfield FFA Cup, Sydney FC are in front.
What was Redmayne thinking to come out against that? Gamiero's already showed tonight how much pace he has and how much of a threat he is. He's just beat Redmayne to that, no problem. And what initially started as possibly a Sydney error with that defensive header, absolutely almost going straight to Deganzic to finish. They've countered beautifully, and that's a really serious error that's cost them 1-0 to Sydney.
Once the through ball was played, Redmayne was already on his 18-yard box. He was caught in no man's land. Once the ball had come, he sort of hesitated. Should I go? Should I stay? And he went, and it was costly for Melbourne City. He was caught out in no man's land. Gamiro came out, passed it around the keeper. Kisnorbo, great effort. Unfortunately for him, though, he missed. He was chasing gallantly, but the ball just rolled too quickly for him into Sydney FC's goal.
Sean Moran, we've got a goal, and it's Sydney FC on the counter-attack who take the lead.
It is, and very disappointing there for Melbourne City. They were quite in control of this match, and Redmayne's had a bit of a brain explosion there, and he's come out. It was only Bernie Abini who was at the back post that was offering any sort of threat there. I think if Redmayne had stayed on his line, Sydney FC were being dragged into the corner and really weren't looking like scoring. So a big error there, and hopefully for Melbourne City.
Deganzic curling it. Williams can't get there, out for a goal kick.
They can get back into this game, and a good opportunity there, but as we've seen thus far, we're yet to actually see Melbourne City get a shot on target, I think, lads, which will be a little bit concerning for John Van Schip. They are the home side, although officially not playing in Melbourne, but, they were on top for the best part of the opening 20 minutes, and you'd really think that they could have done a little bit better. So hopefully for them, they can press forward and actually try and threaten Janijetovic in the Sydney goal.
Hashtag FFA Cup. It's exploding at the moment. A lot of it's about the Melbourne City goalkeeper. You can read it for yourself. I've been told that there are 6,000 people watching the stream provided by Sydney FC and Melbourne City tonight, so it's great to have your company. Ball on the left. Duff concedes. And now Madoka, overhead kick. It's only going to go as far as Antonis. He decides to turn and go back to Ognanovsky. So Sydney in front and looking to capitalise on the advantage. Ball in midfield. Moved on by Abbas, and now a foul on Carl. So Sydney will slow things down and survey the options.
Not the best time, I was about to say earlier on, for Andrew Redmayne to make a mistake. It's sort of a period before the season where you want to be feeling out your players, and with a great goalkeeper in Tando Valabi in reserve, it's not the sort of error that Redmayne would want to be making, particularly with the season only a few months away now. So hopefully for his sake, he'll be able to keep his side into the game and not concede any more goals.
Ball at centre of defence. City looking for the equaliser at the moment. We have played 25 minutes of this Westfield FFA Cup tie. Teo Pellizzeri, Ryan McGee, Sean Moran and Adem Baroli with you from Morshead Park in Ballarat. High ball over the top down the left. Ramsey brings it into his control. And then it's out of bounds. And Sydney get the throw.
Again, Melbourne City looking to go down the wings. We see if they're on one side, they look to switch open with Kisnorbo and Nicky Kalmar on the ball, trying to open Sydney up defensively.
Kalmar. Back to Vilar. Vilar hits it long. Williams over his head. And that one is easy for Janijetovic. And he just kicks for territory to no one in particular. Down to Redmayne, who sweeps onto the ball.
And as you said, Sydney just trying to slow down the game once again, happy to get it as far away as possible. There was a few names that we haven't really mentioned, the likes of Abbas and so on, and Abini, who have been relatively quiet. I'd say Gamiero has been the most active of the three and the most threatening so far. But Melbourne City really need to try and find a way to get back into this, in the sense that they've not really...
Right-footed cross to the penalty spot, and there's a whistle for a foul. Deganzic was pushing out his man. And Sean Moran, you think it may be for a handball?
I think it may have been for a handball. I thought Deganzic actually put out his left hand there, and unfortunately for him, it hit it. But promising for Melbourne City, they actually got the ball into the box there and had Deganzic actually trap the ball legally, and he may have got a decent shot away there and put that on target. So a little bit better for City.
You just feel as if Mate Deganzic had left that, Aaron Moy would have been a recipient at the back on the edge of the 18-yard box. He would have had a clear shot at goal, but unfortunately for Melbourne City, Deganzic handball there.
Yeah, I think he's just overran the cross a little bit. He's kind of just went behind him a bit too much, unfortunately. It was a nice little cutback, and it went straight to him with two Melbourne City players just completely free. So it was a bit unfortunate. It was a great opportunity there.
Melbourne City 1-0 down in the 28th minute now. Out to the right, Hoffman. To Kalmar. And now to Kisnorbo. Pretty stagnant ahead of the ball at the moment. A lot of players just standing and watching. Hoffman is the man on the move, and he gets the pass. Now to Duff. Things opening up for Melbourne City. Another right-footed cross. Ryle heads it away. Kalmar will keep it in City's attacking third. Here's Madoka. Out to Duff. Dispossessed. Back to Kalmar. Been prominent in this match so far. To Ramsey. Equally so. Only player on the pitch to have been booked so far. And now out of bounds. Ryle dispossessing Deganzic there. So it will be thrown into play. Crowd continuing to build here. I'd say we're at just about at maximum capacity here at Morshead Park. Plenty of fans standing behind our camera and commentary position up on the hill. And you can see behind both goals, absolutely packed here. Great crowd in this Victorian Rural Centre. Ramsey to Deganzic. Cuts in board. Kalmar. Diagonal ball. Setting quite a task for Madoka there. A bit too much on it, and it's gone out for a throw.
Yeah, not the best build-up there for Melbourne City. Again, a ball played in front of Madoka, and he wasn't quick enough to get there. But look, as long as City keep holding the ball and keep spreading the ball and keep possession of the ball, it's going to keep them in good stead. They've just got to be a little bit more better in that front third and really try and at least get a shot on target.
Back to Ryle for Sydney FC. Gligor. And now Ognanovski. Sydney playing with a bit of spring in their step now that they're in front. Of course, it is a cup tie. We do expect Melbourne City to throw everything at an equaliser should they remain behind for a little while. Now, shouts for a foul and paid. Avas taken out. And Villaert with the challenge. It's a foul in the attacking half for Sydney FC.
It'll just be interesting to see how far Melbourne City have come. Since their inception, they've really struggled to come from behind and win games. They've usually fallen behind and then struggled, maybe got a draw. But I think on a number of occasions, maybe 4 or 5 last season, they fell behind and then were able to get a victory. So we're interesting to see now, since the changeover, how well they go mentally.
Ball on the left for this free kick. We'll go around the grounds in a moment. There's been a let-off for the other Victorian team in action tonight, the Bentley Greens. I'm hearing it's still 0-0, but we'll get Sean Moran across the details in a moment. Here's the cross for Sydney. Easy clearance for Villaert. Lost his footing as he did so, and now there's a push, and it's going to be taken out from the back. Sean Moran, we've got news of a close call for Blacktown City taking on the Bentley Greens.
Yeah, it looks like Blacktown have gotten very close there. Mizawa has hit a sitter into the side netting, so a bit of a let-off for the Victorian NPL team and Bentley Greens, so it still remains 0-0 between Blacktown City and the Bentley Greens from Sydney.
Ball on the right into the area. Jandijevic, a little bobble, but holds it comfortably. Of course, Melbourne Knights and Bentley Greens, the two National Premier League's teams from Victoria, from the top division, playing in the FFA Cup. Melbourne Knights already knocked out by Olympic FC of Brisbane, and the Bentley Greens will feel as though they got dealt a fairly difficult away trip as well. So perhaps two of Victoria's best hopes to go through to the next round find themselves in tough situations. And of course, South Springvale and St Albans, the two underdogs, find themselves in the next round already, Sean Moran, and dreaming of perhaps hosting one of these two teams in their next game.
Yeah, before the a ball was kicked after the draw, we all thought that Melbourne City and Melbourne Knights were going to be the two best representatives for Victoria, and that the South Springvale and the St Albans, the Minnows of Victoria, would go out first. But they've certainly surprised here.
Carl, crossfield pass has been intercepted, and now Kalmar. Moy left it for Williams, and Williams turns 2 metres from the top of the area. He's got players breaking on the left. Deganzic is one of them. Takes possession, squares it. Moy, little touch. Ognanovski read it like a book and clears up to the halfway line. Ryan McGee.
That's just the first bit of space I think David Williams has actually found himself in. Again, Melbourne City seem to be trying to cut it to the wings to the likes of Deganzic and Duff, who keep switching from right to left, but if they keep crossing it in, trying to get it to Williams' head, I think they're going to struggle. Sydney's aerial ability just seems a bit superior to that at the moment, and they're really not threatening, so I think they're going to have to try and find some alternatives here.
Ball on the left, Sydney being pressed right up at the moment. They're going to pass their way out of trouble though, and now Ryle's the outlet. It's been sold into a 50-50, but he gets there ahead of Ramsey, who of course on a yellow perhaps just held his run there. You suspect he may have charged in with a bit more vigour had he not already received a caution. Sydney FC fan on Twitter saying, I wonder what the stream will show at half-time. Perhaps the hunt for the ball on the roof.
It's a very tempting proposition, to be honest.
I haven't seen anyone up there retrieve it, so it is a source of fascination. It will be returned eventually, I'm sure. Ball at the centre of defence for Melbourne City. We've now crossed 33 minutes in the first half of this Westfield FFA Cup tie. You're watching on melbournecityfc.com.au, sydneyfc.com.au, and we are simulcasting on the Livecast channel on TuneIn Radio. And that is where you can hear the National Premier Leagues of Victoria on a weekly basis. Ball out to the right. Ball one back for Sydney FC. Carl plays it to Abbas. His first thought is backwards, though. Antonis. And his first thought is backwards as well. And goes to Petkovic. Game still feels like it's sorting itself out. Hasn't really got the end-to-end excitement of a cup tie just yet. Sydney FC, 1 goal to the good. Corey Gamero scoring in the 23rd minute. Gligor. Bit of a risky pass, but Petkovic makes it work. Now in the middle of the park. Abbas. Deflected pass. Ognanovski.
Ognanovski being very, very vocal out there.
High diagonal ball.
Offside.
Too much on it. And the flag was up. Adam Baroli.
Yeah, the flag was up there, but I think John Van Schip thus far wouldn't be too happy with the way his side's performed. 35 minutes in, his side's been unable to get a clear chance on goal. They've tried to go down the wings and even go through direct on a few times to David Williams, but unfortunately 35 minutes in for Melbourne City, they're still yet to have a real chance on goal.
So a goal kick. Weather here in Ballarat still very good. We understand that the quality of the vision stream is exceptional, so I'm sure you can see it for yourself, but picking up rain on TV or web stream is always difficult. I can tell you that the conditions could not be better, given it is a winter night in country Victoria. Ryan McGee.
Just if you're watching on the stream now, I think Kalmar's kick's probably the worst one that we'll see of the match. Just trying to switch it across, and he's almost hit it towards his own bench. Pretty poor giveaway there from Melbourne City.
Bouncing now to Petkovic. He will play it to Abbas. Turned over. Here's Moy. He's got Deganzic breaking for him. And he's also got Williams. Through the middle. He was looking for Deganzic and it's been intercepted there. Well done by Ognanovski backtracking. And it goes behind for a corner.
Almost a costly error there from Ali Abbas. Not sure what he was trying to do there, but a very poor back passer that almost had David Williams through. And had Williams been able to strike that first time, I think he could have put Janjetovic under pressure for the first time tonight. So a bit of a let-off there for Sydney FC.
And Sean Evans here is going to come in and have a word to Damien Duff, getting right in the personal space of Vedran Janjetovic. And it's one of my pet hates because nothing seems to change after they go in and have that word. Duff just continues to antagonise. The corner's poor, though, cleared by Abini at the near post. Ramsey retains possession for City. Williams floating it into the area. Headed clear by Ognanovski, and now Gligor sweeps it away. Safety first, out for a throw.
Yeah, Davey Williams trying his best there to try and get the ball in the area by trying to loop it over Sasha Ognarovski, but I think he's going to have a really hard time trying to do that when you've got a player that almost made the Australian World Cup squad and who's about 6'5", trying to lob the ball over him.
Yeah, we were talking about earlier how his World Cup career is over, but he's been immense so far tonight. He's just been covering all grounds, and David Williams is probably going to really, as you said, struggle against the likes of Ognanovski in there. Try and get it on the ground and try and get your footwork and your pace and try and be able to be a little bit quicker than him, and I think that would probably be the way to go if he wants to try and get by him.
Inside 10 minutes until half-time. Sean Moran, take us around the grounds at all three games. Give us some updated scores, please, in the round of 32 of the Westfield FFA Cup.
Yes, Tara, from the Sydney United Sports Centre, it still remains 1-0 to Sydney United 58. They went very close to going 2-0 up just a moment ago, but it still remains 1-0 there. The Blacktown City and Bentley Greens game is still locked at 0-0, and the kick-off at Adelaide City against the Western Sydney Wanderers is not too far away. Actually, it's 10 minutes gone now, and it's still 0-0 there at the Martin Sports Complex.
Antonis in the middle for Sydney. High ball over the top. Flag up on Gamero. Adam Baroli has run foul a couple of times of that flag now.
But do you think he needs to? Because he's shown already he's got the pace to break the line. So maybe if he just holds his run off a little bit more. We've seen him sprint past Jason Hoffman, and also he had Ian Ramsey covered for pace. So if he just holds his run a little bit more and then goes after the ball's being played, I think he's got a better chance because, as I mentioned earlier, he's got so much pace.
Kisnorbo. maybe a little bit of a lift in intensity can be expected now as we cross 38 minutes in this first half. 7+ stoppage until half-time. Here's Duff down the right-hand side into the area. And Williams can't get there in time. Janjetovic takes possession. Sean Moran, we understand there's been a goal around the grounds.
Yes, it looks like Bentley Greens have gone 1-0 up, and apparently it's against the run of play, so...
We'll wait for a score, but Victorians represent. We've got a goal. I apologise to everyone tuning in. The Victorians have got a goal. Bentley Greens in front. Just ball at the centre of defence for Melbourne City, and now passing out to Kisnorbo. Under pressure. Keeps it under the pressing of Carl. Now Kalmar. And Sydney FC will back off here. Adam Barol.
Yeah, just again, that last chance by Melbourne City where Jason Hoffman had the ball. Damien Duff made an arced run out to the wide position and looking to play in David Williams. And it was just a carbon copy of what they've been doing in the pre-season at training. If it's not David Williams, it would be James Brown or maybe even David Villa towards the back end of the season. But again, you can see what Melbourne City are trying to implement on the training track is coming out, although they're just not getting the chances to have a shot on goal.
Sean Moran, we've got details of the goal scorer in the Blacktown City versus Bentley Greens game.
We have the goal scorer for Bentley was David Sturton with a header at the back post, it seems. So, a really good start there for Bentley. David Sturton, one of their most notable and most skillful players. So, good start for Bentley over there in Sydney.
Former Melbourne Victory Foxtel National Youth League talent, of course. Now back in the National Premier League's Victoria. And now... Melbourne City really starting to control possession. 5 minutes until half-time. At Emberoli, what do they need to do to actually start turning this into a bit more of a threat on Janjetovic's goal?
You mentioned they're controlling possession, but I think their tempo needs to be lifted. They're moving the ball, but not quick enough. Sydney's back four and even the defensive midfielders are covering well, and they're really making it compact.
Abbas plays it out to the left. Here's an opportunity into the area, and the shot flashes across the face. And again, a little bit of something out of nothing for Sydney FC there. It just seems as though perhaps they can switch it up a gear on demand, whereas Melbourne City are struggling to do so, as Adam Baroli just mentioned.
Yeah, absolutely, they really are. They're getting the ball and they're passing it around, but they're not creating any chances. I can't think of any time when Janjetovic, the Sydney keeper, has been tested at all. And now Sydney go on another minor counter-attack. It was a nice little ball through to Gamiero, who's again looking threatening, and just went across the face of goal.
Bit of a midfield battle. Kalmar prevails. We'll pass it back to Kisnorbo. 40.5 minutes now played. Streaming on sydneyfc.com.au, melbournecityfc.com.au, and simulcast on the Livecast channel on TuneIn Radio. Turnover, Ibini. Kalmar goes and wins back the ball, and Ibini is left holding his face. Referee saw it, decided not to call a foul. Ibini is keeping his feet and looks all right to continue. Credit to him. And ball over to the right for City. Hoffman in possession, right in front of Graham Arnold, who is up out of his dugout and perhaps questioning the referee's decision not to blow a foul for Rabini there. Williams out to the left. Ramsey, plenty of space, decided to go for a run at Ryle, and Ryle is scrambling and can't keep it in. Out for a corner. So here's another set-piece opportunity for Melbourne City.
First time Melbourne City really find a bit of space as they're throwing now as a water, but Ian Ramsey had a real offside here for Ian Ramsey.
Oh, that's lazy.
That is very lazy. He had the opportunity to trust, come back, stay in line. He had the field to look across, but unfortunately for him, it was offside. But as I was mentioning, Ian Ramsey had the first real opportunity, a lot of space out wide on his left. He had the opportunity to cut it back into Mate Duganzic inside the 18-yard box. He opted to go around the defender, almost got a corner, but once again, Melbourne City turnover possession due to laziness by Ian Ramsey.
Sean Moran, a little bit of drama in the Sydney United match.
Yeah, a little bit of controversy. Apparently it looks as if Far North Queensland should have been awarded a penalty there, but unfortunately for Sydney United, the penalty wasn't called and it still remains 1-0.
And now clearance from Violart to Ganzic. Tries his hardest, but can't keep it in. Throw in for Sydney FC. Antonis. Got to say, the first thought of both teams tonight has been to pass it to the centre of defence and reset so often. It does have that real air of a pre-season game to it at times. Maybe it'll feel a little bit more like a cup tie in the second half. 42.5 minutes gone. Redmayne clears out to the right. Moy, flick header on. And now out of bounds. Throw in. Petkovic for Sydney FC. Ognanovski. Now Antonis, Gligor to Seb Ryle. 1-2 with the goal scorer Gamero. And now Gamero going for a run, trying to challenge Ramsey, of course, only player in the game on a yellow. And Ramsey knocks it out. Sydney FC ball deep in their attacking half. Play on. And now crossed into the area. And that one goes to waste, out of bounds for a goal kick.
And that's Gamero switching sides and giving Ramsey a bit of a tough time as well now. He's really feeling confident. He's pulled back a little bit, but it's just showing the threat that Sydney are posing at the moment.
So we've now crossed 43 and a half minutes, just 90 seconds plus stoppage until half-time. And we do feel spoilt here in the FFA Cup because in the Victorian NPL we don't have fourth officials holding up how much stoppage there is. And in some games there's been 5, 6, 7 minutes of stoppage and we've been at a loss to explain it. And, well, no disputing it tonight. That's the good thing about a fourth official, isn't it?
Absolutely. And I guess from Melbourne City's point of view in the next few minutes, they probably want to go for it here, and they've got a few minutes to go. But you know, just as importantly, they don't want to concede a second. Sydney FC looking probably a little bit sharper in that front third when they get there as Melbourne City push forward.
Ball on the right. Can Duff keep it in? He does. Flicks it back. And now shouts for a foul. Not heeded by the referee. Abini back to goal. Trying to hold off Villa. Madoka came across to put on the pressure. Moy charging in. Can't win the ball back for City. Gamero keeps it moving. Feel like with 30 seconds until half-time, Sydney FC, well, Duganzic snuffed out any attacking opportunity straight off the boot of Ryle. And here's Williams to Madoka. Can City snare an equaliser before the break? Madoka cutting in board. Williams again. Back out to the right. Here's Hoffman to Madoka. City slowly being forced further and further back as Sydney transition into defence. Kalmar plays it to the left. Ramsey's got time and space. Can he pick a target with the cross? Here it comes to the near post. And Duganzic, it's an up and under, and easily caught there by Janjetovic, but perhaps that's a precursor to the second half because, of course, Melbourne City need to chase the game.
Just on a side note, the fourth official has awarded 1 minute of added time in this first half.
So Melbourne City now have got 40 seconds to do something before the break. Through ball from Kalmar, and the flag is up against Duganzic, and that is much to the disappointment of the crowd here at Ballarat.
That was much better from Melbourne City. Again, on that occasion, actually went central in a nice little ball there to Duganzic, and had he just timed his run a little bit better there, he could have found himself one-on-one with Janjetovic. So, you know, more promising signs from City, but yeah, nothing too much to worry Graham Arnold and his Sydney FC side yet.
Well, Sydney FC very much in control of this cup tie, and Melbourne City are going to need to drastically increase their intensity for the second half if they're to do something about it. Right now, the Sky Blues seemingly on track for the round of 16. And there is the halftime whistle. So in Ballarat, it is Sydney FC 1, Melbourne City 0 at halftime of this Westfield FFA Cup round of 32 tie. The only goal of the game, Corey Gamero scoring into an empty net after Andrew Redmayne came charging out of his line. Gamero was advancing down the left, and Gamero got there first and rolled in agonisingly the goal. Adam Baroli, it's a deserved lead for Sydney FC based on what we've seen. Melbourne City's possession really hasn't turned into anything productive as far as shots on target.
Yeah, they've been able to sort of dictate play in patches, I think, Melbourne City. A few times they've got the ball forward, but they haven't really made much of it. They've looked to go out wide to Ian Ramsey, or whether it's on the left, it might be out on the right to Damien Duff or Jason Hoffman overlapping. But a number of times they've got possession, tried to dictate play through Aaron Moy and Nick Kalmar, but then again, they've got their lost possession, and then they haven't been able to really create that really vital effort on goal for Melbourne City. But I think Sydney as well, going forward, they've created maybe one or two chances, but they really took their chance with Andrew Redmayne running out, and just in no man's land, Corey Gamero, great speed and touch and awareness just to slot the ball past Redmayne in goal and give Sydney probably, yeah, you could say a deserved lead, but I think there's still a lot of work to be done with Melbourne City. They've got a few impact players that can come off the bench like James Brown, and he offers a lot of pace, as does David Williams, but I think they've just got to try something different, maybe go with two up front, bring on Brown, or just try something else. I think John Van Schip will be happy just happy with the performance, but if they can really lift the tempo of their play, look to go out wide, move the ball quicker, cut in, cut back out, and I think they can cause some more havoc. But at the moment, their build-up play and speed is just a little bit too slow.
7,000 people watching the stream at the moment, so we are thrilled to have your company, and we will be back with you soon for the second half. But before we leave, Ryan McGee, Sean Moran. Ryan, I'll get your thoughts on the game. Sean, I'll get you to take us around the grounds.
Sean, around the grounds, it's still 0-0 between Adelaide City and the Western Sydney Wanderers at Martin Sports Complex. It's 1-0 to the Bentley Greens away to Blacktown City in Seven Hills, and it's also 1-0 to Sydney United 58 against Far North Queensland Heat. Ante Tomlich with the goal there, and David Sturton with the goal for Bentley at Blacktown City.
Ryan McGee, final thoughts on the first half before we take a break?
Yeah, just following up from what Adam said, I think Sydney will be... I'm not sure if Graham Arnold will be particularly praised. It's clearly still well within the pre-season, the way these two teams have been playing. You know, we've not had that many attempts on goal. Possession at times has been squandered a little unnecessarily, and it's created a few chances, but neither keeper has really been tested, and if it wasn't for that moment of madness, we'll call it, from Andrew Redmayne, I think it would still be 0-0 here. Basically, both teams really need to sharpen up in the second half, particularly Melbourne City, if they want to try and get back into this match, because Sydney are seeming quite content at the moment.
So it's half-time in the Westfield FFA Cup round of 32. Corey Gamero's goal separates the teams. It is Sydney FC 1, Melbourne City 0. We're going to take a short break. The vision will continue, and what you will hear during halftime is some of the best of the National Premier Leagues Victoria. We call the game every week on the Livecast channel on TuneIn Radio and livecast.com.au. So if you are interested in following more Victorian football from wherever you're listening in from, here is some of the best stuff.
Through ball attempted from Vizovic, looking for a Linajad. It's knocked up to 15 metres from the top of the area. Vizovic will run onto the spill and try his luck with a long shot, and it's a great goal! Vizovic scores for the Knights, and it's 2-1. What a sensational shot. Bray got fingertips on it, but he only succeeded in palming it into the underside of the bar. I thought for half a second he may have got it over, but Daniel Vizovic scores with a vicious dipping long shot. It is Melbourne Knights 2, Bentley Greens 1, and we have played 70 minutes.
Well, where did that come, Teo Pelletier? An amazing strike there from range. He's hit that perfectly. Couldn't have hit that any sweeter, I don't think. He's cut in board, got in central, and we all thought he was maybe going to play in a ball behind the defence, but he's opted to chance his arm and try his luck, and he has come off with an exceptional goal there and really put Melbourne Knights back in the box seat.
Jawadi will swing it out to the right-hand side and finds the run of Jamie Reid after Deng missed the ball. Reid, 5 metres from the area on the right, crosses into the box, and the header is in at the near post. Matthew Theodore rising high and beating Kieran Gonzalez in the air. It is South Melbourne 1, Green Gully 0. A beautiful goal from Jamie Reid, crossing it into the area, and the header then coming in. Matthew Theodore makes it 1-0 for South Melbourne. We'll put that one down in the 12th minute. Adam Ritz hits a high ball, and it's deflected by the near man, Lucas Santilli, into the path of Van Schip. Is his thought of goal or the corner? It might be a goal. He gets around the corner at the top of the box. He's got two players there, drags it onto his left, and now the chip comes off, and it's cleared out of the teeth of goal. The assistant referee says it is a goal. Van Schip scores one of the goals of the year, and his teammates mob him from everywhere. It is Pascoe Vale 2, Oakley Cannons 0. He had a crack at a chip earlier in the half and very nearly pulled it off. On this occasion, he goes right, he goes left, back onto his right, and he makes it 2-0. It's turned over. Here's a chance for Zorich. Running, sliding through Foster, edge of the area, goal. Foster 2-0! And now Oakley seem to be on the march. A great through ball. Nate Foster does a little jig next to the corner flag because it's Oakley 2, South Melbourne 0 on the hour mark. And in the NPL, another contender may well be emerging.
Fantastic goal. What a brilliant lead-up. Zorich there getting the ball, and he's jinked once or twice. They go in a bit of space. Very, very dangerous play when he's got the ball at his feet. He slid through a beautiful ball onto Nate Foster. He's got a lot of pace. Give him a yard. He can really, really punish teams. And he slid it hard low at the far post. And Oakley, they go 2-0 up.
And Hume again with a counter-attack. Turner wins the ball on halfway after taking it off Al Ibnajad. Now passes to Hegarty. He looks up, He's dead centre between the halfway line and goal, and so he's going to drive it. Oh, wow! What a goal from Haggerty! May lost it in the air, and he's just bowled him over, middle stump out of the ground. That is unbelievable. 2-0 to Hugh.
Absolutely great strike. How many minutes have gone? About 75, I believe. Yeah, he's already man of the match by a mile, isn't he? He's just been absolutely superb. He's created the assist for the first goal. He just, a beautiful little dink out and into the path of Burchetto, who Marinos missed the chance, and then he's just taken the time there, had a look and had a pop, and wow, absolutely brilliant stuff from Hegarty, and well deserved now, 2-0 lead.
Ball's on the right, attempting the clearance is deflected straight into the path of Demek. Now a high cross from Ballan, edge of the area, and brought down. Great touch by Catabian! 4-2! Well, maybe the comeback is on. Joe Catabian's got a double, and in the 73rd minute, it is Bulleen Lions 2, Richmond 4.
This is a great game. I'm glad you chose this one too. That was a great ball. It looked like a bit of a speculative ball, but it was taken down superbly well, and it was a beautiful finish, and the keeper unfortunately just had no chance there. So we've really got a game on then.
And now Kovacic sweeps onto the ball for the Knights. Poor pass though, turns it over Holmes. They're under pressure here. Here's Epifano breaking down the right. Lujic is all on his own in the penalty area. And that's the fourth. South Melbourne will win 4-2. And the NPL may be theirs. A stinging counter-attack. And just as the Melbourne Knights look to be turning up the heat, trying to find an equaliser, who else but Milos Lujic to make it South Melbourne 4, Melbourne Knights 2.
Well, the man I feel most sorry for on the pitch right now is Chris May as he lays down on the ground. You know, he's only a couple of seconds earlier kept Melbourne Knights by pulling out an amazing save to keep them into that in this match. And, you know, they go down the other end. And all of a sudden, you know, all their defenders have pushed up and they've left him, you know, all by himself. And Milos Lujic with the easiest of tap-ins.
Tate still in the attacking half for Bulleen. Now Ellis, left back. As Edwards on the overlap. Ignores her. Penalty area on the left. Ellis crossing into the 6-yard area. 3-1. Great finish by Iaconis with a left-footed volley. And Bulleen now pulling away. A contentious goal and a beautiful goal. Back-to-back at the start of this second half. And in the 63rd minute, it is Bulleen 3, Sandringham 1.
I'm not sure of the player that was bombing on from left back. I thought, is that Steph Catley out there? No, it was fantastic to see that run from deep, and it really opens up and utilises the space. And again, that early ball into the box where defenders are facing their own goal, it's really hard to defend, and committing players into areas where you score. And Bulleen have done that twice tonight.
The Red Devils Salvatore out to the left-hand side. Firth. Hard up against the line. Doesn't beat his man, but sends it across. Flick header on into the area. Agwek back to goal. Chesset down. Now turns onto his left foot. Oh, it's a special goal! It's a brilliant goal from Deng Agwek, and it's 1-1 in the 22nd minute. That is a stunning finish. Brought it down on the chest. Thought about turning to his right. Didn't like the look of it. Wheeled back onto his left, and that's what he can do.
That was a great bowl by Agwek. You summed it up perfectly there, Teo. His composure there to dummy the shot on his right foot, to bring it back to his left, and then side foot it into the top left-hand corner. Wonderfully played by Agwek. It's sort of reminiscent of Jogler's goal against Liverpool a few years back when he brought it down and turned and smacked it into the corner.
Rano again. To the right. Now Torrance comes through, winning the ball. Slide challenge goes in. And the referee says it was legitimate. Now to the left, Athanasiou is there, and he's bowled over. Desperate challenge by Iga. Andrijasevic comes through, sweeps on the loose ball with both players prone on the ground, crosses it in, a score! 1-0! Melbourne Knights in front! 42 minutes to goal. It is Melbourne Knights 1, South Melbourne 0. A stinging attack down the left. Cross in from Andrijasevic, and Thomas Lavuskok goes and celebrates with the fans at the Lake End.
Yeah, great play there. There was a few fiery tackles going in from South Melbourne, but Andrijasevic was able to pick up the ball on the left wing there and run in at Iga, and he cut back, put a beautiful ball in for Uskok, who did not break his stride and just slid home and tucked it away. Melbourne Knights 1-0, 42nd minute.
Crossing in, Karoma just dinks it down. Dangerous Monopolis! 3-2 South Melbourne! What a super sub! The ball came in from the left. It was deflected down into the path of Monopolis. He hit it first time, and he beat Connell low to the right.
That was absolutely brilliant from Monopolis.
It looked as though the chance of Gorman across came in. It's just taken a touch, and Monopolis takes a nice little first touch and knows exactly where he's going to put it. Absolutely no hesitation. And his confidence for already been sky high, so it's absolutely brilliant finish.
4-3 on penalties.
Jared Johnson.
It's match point, South Springvale. Jared Johnson, another excellent player for his team. Can he score? It's Ronnie Dowsher sends South Springvale to the round of 16. A sensational penalty shootout win. 4-3 on penalty kicks. They come from everywhere. And South Springvale of State League 1 Southeast are heading to the round of 16. This is what the FFA Cup is all about.
You're listening to the Westfield FFA Cup. Let's go to the livecast commentary team and join Teo Palazzeri.
Welcome back to Morshead Park in Ballarat, the second half not far away. This is the Westfield FFA Cup, streaming on sydneyfc.com.au, melbournecityfc.com.au, and simulcast via the TuneIn radio app. Just search for Livecast, and you can hear National Premier League's Victoria commentary every week on Livecast. Make sure you join us on Friday night, 8:25 p.m. It is the Women's Premier League's time to shine off the back of tonight's huge audience. I'm hoping that we'll have plenty of people following up interested in Box Hill United versus Sandringham. Hello and welcome back to Morshead Park in Ballarat. My name's Teo Palazzeri, joined by Adem Baroli, Ryan McGee and Sean Moran. Sean, through half-time there is a game in progress, of course, because there's a match being played in South Australia tonight, half an hour later the kick-off. So, bring us up to speed. What is going on in the match between Adelaide City and the Western Sydney Wanderers? Sean, as you rejoin us here for the start of the second half.
Yes, Teo, that's being played at the Marden Sports Complex. It's still 0-0 between Adelaide City and Western Sydney Wanderers in what's being touted as the David versus Goliath battle. So David doing quite a good job. I think it's half an hour gone there, and it's still 0-0. In South Australia.
And the National Premier League's Victoria has had no hesitation to raid the stocks of South Australia to bring players over to this state. So good to see a South Australian team holding their own against the A-League opposition.
Yeah, it is good. We've seen a lot of the National Premier League Victoria, and there are a few players that have come out from South Australia. Even Adelaide United's youth team, we've seen Liam Wooding and also Jordan O'Doherty, who applies his trade for Melbourne Knights. But Melbourne City have re-entered Morshead Park and they're out on the pitch now. It looks as if thus far I don't think any changes have been made at half-time. I wonder what the message was from John Van Schip, but I think he may have been wanting Melbourne City to move the ball a bit quicker now as their players get into position. We're still waiting on Sydney FC to come out at half-time. Sean, what was your thoughts on Damien Duff's first half in Melbourne City colours? He was thereabouts, didn't really have much space, but what was your thoughts?
Yeah, look, Damien looked, I guess, his normal self, taking a lot of runs and a lot of chances down that right and left-hand side. I thought he looked quite good on that wing. His final ball wasn't, I think, what Damien would be after. He's shown in recent years that he's still got the pace to really match it with his defenders. But yeah, the final ball on a couple of occasions, I think, let him down. And I think he'd probably want to improve that in the second half and really get some good balls in for David Williams and even Deganchich on the other side.
But it's hard for him as well, coming from the standard that he was at in the English Premier League, to come down to the A-League. No disrespect to the A-League, but he's got to adapt to the new standard. Of course, it's not going to be as good as it was to the Premier League, but he has to sort of manoeuvre, try and get his foot in the game and see how they play and what they do to try and get himself into the game.
Yeah, and not only that, but he's also, he's only joined the team in recent weeks. I think he actually joined up with the team when they had their pre-season tour in the UK. There, that 17-day pre-season tour, and he's only been with the team for a couple of weeks. Again, like you said, it's a different league, it's a different level. He's gone, from playing, with Fulham and in the English Premier League to the A-League. It's been a slow start to this game, but hopefully for the A-League's sake and for Damien Duff's sake, as one of Melbourne City's best players to date, he can sort of lift and really take it to Sydney FC. But on Sydney FC, I think Graham Arnold will be quite satisfied, guys, with that first half. He's come to Ballarat, not necessarily putting a lot of emphasis on getting through. He hasn't taken many risks with bringing down Smelts and Brosk and the likes of those big players. So Mark Yanko. This wasn't a huge game for him, but his side's 1-0 up, and I think it'll be much of the same in this second period.
So to the right of your computer screen or smartphone screen, it will be Melbourne City in the white and Sydney FC 1-0 to the good in the blue. We are underway Westfield FFA Cup round of 32 action. Hashtag FFA Cup. We're seeing a lot of people tweeting in photos of them watching on multiple computers, the different games going on at the moment. Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Mike Tuckerman, great football writer, of course. Love his work, Mike Tuckerman. And great to know that he is watching the stream tonight. And also for this specific game, hashtag MBC v SYD. Ball down the left and City attacking from kickoff. Ramsey. And that one will run long. And, of course, Ian Ramsey, the only player on the field to get a booking in that first half. And it has been a largely, well-tempered game. A lot of sportsmanship so far, but also with that little bit of a pre-season feel. It hasn't exactly been the most hostile of occasions.
Yeah, absolutely. Two teams are clearly still in friendly mode. Melbourne City obviously just getting back from Manchester and their UK pre-season tour in Sydney. We're also in New Zealand for a while, playing a couple of games there against the likes of Newcastle and then playing against West Ham United. So, there's definitely a pre-season feel. Both teams are still a little bit rusty. They've got 2 months left until the A-League season starts, but still two strong sides out here tonight, and they're still going to want to make an impact here in the FFA Cup. So, like we've mentioned before, they've both been a little bit unfortunate to draw each other in the round 32 match, but that's the beauty of the draw.
Carl, back to goal, lays it off, and now an opportunity for Sydney FC through German. Retreats. Abbas to German again. Intercepted initially by Duff, and now Kalmar will put his foot on the ball and pass it back to Hoffman. He clears down the line, and that ball is hit high. Underneath it, Antonis heads it straight to Nicky Kalmar, who was perhaps the player in possession the most of the ball in that first half. And this man, Kisnorbo, was just about at the start of every reset from Melbourne City as they played it out from the back. Moy slides it through to Madoka, couldn't keep control of the ball. Sydney FC prevail. Antonis passing to Gligor in close quarters. Madoka comes in and wins a free kick. So we are expecting a bit of a rise in the tempo in this second half. It may not happen straight away, but you'd think that Melbourne Heart would have seen the Sydney FC lineup for tonight and fancied their chances of coming through. Did I say Heart, guys? Can you give me a slap? Thank you very much. Apologies. Melbourne City, my word. Ball in the centre of the park. Here's Abini attacking for Sydney FC. Melbourne City player down. Out to the left. Here's Ali Abbas. Top of the area on the left. Crossing in, and good save by Redmayne. There was no oncoming traffic behind him, but we have a player, Robbie Violart, who is down and sore. It looks like a shoulder. Guys, keep an eye on him. I'll stay with play. Here's Moy. Out to the left-hand side for Melbourne City. And Ramsey can't keep a hold of the ball. At Emberoli, what happened there with Violart?
I'm not sure what happened there. I was just going to touch on, though, Andrew Redmayne. It's good for him to get his confidence up within the early minutes of the second half. Ali Abbas's cross come in. He was a well-taken interception there. Got his hands behind the ball, really felt the ball, and I think it's good for his confidence in this second half to get an early touch and get his confidence back up, because we know he was sort of caught in no man's land when Melbourne City conceded that first goal. So, it's good for him to get his confidence up in the second half.
Kalmar keeps possession of the ball in a 1-on-2, doing very well. And now goes for a little bit of a run. Tried to slide it to Duff, intercepted. And now Abbas set a fairly difficult task with Williams in better position. To Violart, seems to be moving freely now. Madoka passes it on. Here's Duff breaking down the left. Chance for City. Duff looks up, sees advancing players, tries to pick one out. And it was Duganzic, and he sweeps it wide to the left, out for a goal kick.
Yeah, much better from Melbourne City. Damien Duff, I think, had his hands up there as he approached that towards the byline there, sort of asking, well, where's my support? There was no one getting into that area there, and he had to sort of hold the ball up and put in a really low and hard cross there that finally Duganzic was able to get onto. But, if Melbourne City are really going to take this approach by going down, the right and left-hand sides, they need to be getting bodies into the area and really pressuring that Sydney defence. And fortunately for Melbourne, someone did get into the area there, but couldn't put the ball on target.
High ball to the centre of the pitch. Gligor. And it's out of bounds for a throw.
Just on that, I think why Damien Duff was putting his hands up in the air, just the passage before that, David Williams had tracked back and intercepted and got the ball back for Melbourne City, so the actual number 9 wasn't in position, and when they broke like that, but good effort by Damien Duff to find Mate Duganzic coming in from the left-hand side, and unfortunately for City, he was unable to score, but a great chance for City.
Ramsey, now to Moy, rolls onto his right, to Duganzic, top of the area, turns out of trouble. Keeps possession of the ball. 1-on-3. And the numbers were against him there. Ibini loses possession. Ramsey again for Melbourne City. Now Williams, and he passes to Vila. Change of flanks. Here's Hoffman. And he again retreats to the centre of defence. Sean Moran, give us the only other goal to have gone in around the grounds.
Yeah, it's still 1-0 between Blacktown City and Bentley Greens in New South Wales. It looks as if Blacktown are taking the game to Bentley as they were in the first half. And in New South Wales, it still remains Sydney United 58-1 over the far North Queensland Heat 0.
So a low-scoring night of football. Corey Gamero's goal, the difference here. Of course, the FFA Cup couldn't have got off to a better start with the goals, red cards, extra time, penalty shootouts on the first night. And there may yet be more in store. Sydney FC at the moment don't want this one to go the extra 30 minutes. They've got the lead, and German has got possession at the moment. To Abbas. And now Antonis. He passes to Petkovic. Turned over initially, and then straight back to Petkovic. Now back to Janjetovic, feeling the heat from Williams, and he clears it out into the crowd. And it's going to be a throw deep in Melbourne City's attacking half.
Yeah, and that's a nice little bit of pressure there from the likes of Damien Duff. That's what they need to do. They need to really press this Sydney defence, and they'll keep making costly errors like that.
Now the ball.
Just wasteful there by David Williams. Damien Duff threw the ball in. Williams had the chance to cross it into the box, but overhit the ball, went too high, far and wide, and it's out for throwing on the opposite side.
Ibini caught in possession, but then wins it back, and Ognanovski just clears his lines. Kisnorbo back to Redmayne. Substitutions yet to be made in this game. On the bench for Melbourne City, James Brown, Ben Garuccio, Tando Valafi, the backup keeper, Stefan Mork and Ross Archibald. And for Sydney FC, Pej Bojic, Alex Gersbach, Chris Normoff, Peter Trantis. Those are the options for Graham Arnold.
Poor touch there from David Williams, giving the ball possession away again, and that's Sydney free on the left-hand side.
Abbas running at Hoffman. And now playing it back out to the left. German advancing, crossing into the 6-yard area. Loose first touch. Gamero couldn't bring it into his control. Sydney FC will win back possession though. Janjetovic. Ognanovski to Gligor. Out to Ryle. And now down the right-hand side, a little bit too much on it. Ryan McGee. Would Graham Arnold even be contemplating a change, or would he be reasonably satisfied that the 11 out there on the pitch at the moment can continue to do the job? We have now crossed 53 minutes in this second half.
I think he'll be relatively content. Melbourne City have created a couple more chances than what they have done in the first half, so he might be taking that into consideration. But like you said, he is treating this partly as a friendly. He's trying to get a feel of the team and also get a feel against the first opponents of the A-League season in Melbourne City when they play each other, I believe, in 2 months' time at the Allianz. So that will be interesting to watch as well. The fact that Ibini played from the All-Stars game, and also the fact that Abbas was a part of that, he might bring them off soon enough and try and bring some other players on and get a few minutes on the pitch.
Some tweets to read out from around the world. Renan Murray saying, watching live from Sao Paulo in Brazil. Great game. Abbas in possession. Passing now. Carl shakes Hoffman. Hoffman closing back in with support this time. And the referee says it is going Melbourne City's way. And also Jonas Alcock saying, cheering the boys in blue from Skopje, Macedonia. Thanks, Sydney FC, for the FFA Cup stream. Well, great to have an international audience tuning in via the Sydney FC and Melbourne City websites. And I've been told that it's trending in Melbourne as well, so a bit closer to home. Great to see MBCVSYD is trending on Twitter. Hashtag FFA Cup. We are live and interactive here at Ballarat. Ball down the right. Chance for Sydney is eliminated there by Kisnorbo to Moy. Coming deep, trying to get things moving here for Melbourne City. John Van Schip standing in the corner of the dugout at the moment, just watching on, not too vocal. Rolled through from Hoffman, cleared away by Ryle. And the flag, Adam Baroli was the flag up?
Yep. Yeah, the flag's up for offside there for City. So unfortunately for there, they ruled another opportunity going forward.
Sydney FC. As we now cross 55 minutes, lead this match 1-0. Ramsey. Guarded by Gligor. Now passes back to Kisnorbo. Melbourne City, well, this is remnant of much of the first half. A lot of possession and really lacking a cutting edge. Looking for some sort of spark or inspiration. And you'd think the long shot ability of Aaron Moy.
Away from Williams, just bouncing off of his legs and unable to clear it. The first header again, I think it was Yerman that got the header to it, and I think it must have brushed against a player if the referee had given the corner. But this is a real threat here for Sydney.
So here comes the corner, and that one is allowed to hit the grass, and it will run out for Deganzic, perhaps the chance to launch a counter-attack. Deganzic to Duff. Madoka is advancing into the attacking half, and Duff finds him with a perfectly weighted ball out to the right. Here's Madoka, cutting on to his left. He's being turned here. Gligor did very well, and he did extremely well to win the ball back. Antonis crashes through and gets fouled.
Yeah, it's been the story of Melbourne City's night thus far. Getting into some decent positions, but Sydney FC getting numbers behind the ball and really flooding any chance they have to get forward. And it looks as if we're having our first substitution of the night, and it's Damien Duff coming off.
James Brown.
And James Brown, the former Newcastle Jets midfielder, coming on. So yes, point to see Duff's night end so prematurely, but maybe for Melbourne City, a chance for James Brown to really show why they've picked him up from the Jets.
You could see that potential, that move was potential with Damien Duff just arriving to Australia over the recent weeks, and with minutes that are rare under his belt, it's good to see now James Brown come on and show what he can do for Melbourne City.
All right, the stream is back, we've been told, the Vision stream, but don't forget that we also have the simulcast going on the Livecast channel on TuneIn Radio. So if you're watching with us, you need to go somewhere or perhaps have things to do, you can still listen to the game, simulcast on livecast.com.au, the Livecast channel on TuneIn Radio and the Livecast app. The good news, the pictures are back. Sean Moran, Twitter has exploded, telling us so. Hashtag FFA Cup.
It has good news, and other good news for Adelaide City. They've been able to hold Western Sydney Wanderers to 0-0 at half-time there at the Marden Sports Complex. So 0-0.
That is exciting. That is genuinely exciting.
And a huge crowd there, apparently. I think they've got upwards of 10,000 people in Adelaide. So,
there was a bit of controversy about the change of venue for that game, I read. So,
yeah.
Great to see the South Australian sporting community is getting out and supporting Adelaide City.
Just with that James Brown substitution, it's a like-for-like change for Melbourne City. James Brown's gone straight to the right-hand side, but we should expect him to swap with Mate Duganzic and operate on the both wings for Melbourne City.
Yeah, I think he will operate very similarly to Duff in the way that they'll just keep swinging in and out. I would say on the right-hand side where Duff was playing was well, Melbourne City were creating most of their chances in the second half, being able to cut down there and get a little bit of space in between the likes of Matthew Yeoman. So if they're pushing forward, that's likely where they'll be going, and a bit of fresh impetus from Brown might just spark an equaliser here.
Yeah, Damien Duff was the real highlight for Melbourne City in that second half just now. He's creating everything going forward.
Ball down the right, Madoka. Petkovic comes across. Gets in the way initially. Madoka still herring after him, trying to make something happen here for Melbourne City. Petkovic gets away, does well, and Abbas with a little flick on. Only as far as Kalmar, though. Melbourne City retain possession. Kisnorbo. We are still reading on Twitter that there has been some issues with the Vision stream. Don't forget you can simulcast it with us on Livecast, both the Livecast app and also the Livecast channel on TuneIn Radio. Here's a chance now for City. Ramsey, Moy, and he is fouled. And this is a set piece in their attacking half. They haven't had too many, so perhaps they can manufacture an opportunity here.
Yeah, they haven't been able to construct many. Sydney FC have been the ones that have been getting the opportunities, and especially with the free kick and the two set pieces earlier, which eventually was squandered. But Melbourne City are getting quite a few men back here. They're just keeping Ramsey and the number 8 as well, Madoka, but at the back.
Here's Moy with the free kick. Flick out 1-1-1! City are level, and it's Nicky Kalmar who has scored the goal.
Great ball in by Aaron Moy there by Melbourne City. We see earlier on he had a few corners. They weren't up to scratch, but that ball was spot on, straight onto the head of Nicky Kalmar in the 65th minute.
So Kalmar levels this one up in Ballarat. And, of course, extra time looms if we can't find a winner.
Yeah, we were just saying just before the set piece was taken how Melbourne City haven't really had many set pieces tonight to take, and I think I can remember one in the first half, and Madoka took it quickly, and they were immediately dispossessed, so about time they actually took their time, put in a good ball, and the height of Nick Kalmar to come in at the front post and drill that home has put life not only back into this game but back into the FFA Cup tie.
You can see, though, the difference from Melbourne City from the first half and the second half. Second half, they've been a lot more dominant. They're moving the ball quicker, which is creating opportunities. We talked about Damien Duff. He was moving the ball quicker, opening it out wide and making the runs in. And we saw why they got the free kick. It was because they moved the ball quicker. One of their players, I think it was Mate Duganjic, cut back, got the free kick, and then they were able to whip in a good ball through Aaron Moy, and Nicky Kalmar was a beneficiary.
So a set piece is what it took. Melbourne City with a lot of ineffective possession through the first hour of the game, but they do come good from a free kick, and now they've got a spring in their step. Ball on the right, Williams is knocked over, free kick, hard up against the sideline. So the referee Sean Evans is charging in here to have a word with Ognanovski. Cards aren't coming out of the pocket, I don't think. So Melbourne City 1-0 down for so much of this game, behind since the 23rd minute, and now
they've got another set piece.
It's a
very
really
dangerous position.
Well, it's a game that could be decided by a mistake as much as a moment of magic, you get the feeling. So Sydney have got to be on their mettle here. It's Moy over the free kick, wide on the right. Here it comes. It's low. And Duganjic fires it high. That might have been a training ground move, but Duganjic there had a heap of bodies to try and clear his way through to find a path to goal.
Yeah, not exactly the finish that John Van Schip and Melbourne City would have wanted there. I think the ball's actually gone out into the car park. But yeah, at least the idea was there and they tried something different. In saying that, look, I thought, they could have tried getting that ball into the air and utilising the height. They had Paddy Kisnorbo and Kalmar in there who were good options in the air, and it only worked for them only a couple of minutes earlier. So, Melbourne City well and truly back into this game and really with a little bit of momentum, I'd say.
Ball in the centre of the park. Sydney FC will feel as though Melbourne City hadn't been too threatening for much of this match, and now they find themselves needing to go and set the tempo again. Abbas, an opportunity here. Squares it. Carl into the area, and Gamero following it in across the face of goal and out for a goal kick.
Robbie Willard from Melbourne Heart, their captain tonight, was caught out again. Ali Abbas was able to go around him, and his pace is causing havoc. And I think on a number of times tonight, Robbie Willard's pace has let him down a bit. He's been caught in possession. He's often been tracking back and stranded. I think that's one avenue Sydney can look through to go forward and maybe score a late winner or a winner in this second half, because Robbie Willard, I think, at times has been looking very shaky for Melbourne City defensively.
So a foul here. Hoffman. Reminder that Melbourne City's bench tonight, they've still got Ben Garuccio, Stefan Mork or Ross Archibald to choose from. Sydney FC, Pej Bojic, Alex Gersbach, Chris Normoff, Peter Triantis. The ball is going to be taken by Villa. He goes back to Redmayne.
Both Ben Garuccio and Stefan Mork just returned as well. They were representing, I think, Australia's under-20s over in the United States, and they were involved in a tournament there where I think they may have finished third, if I can recall correctly. But yeah, it's good to see some of their younger players representing Australia at a young level.
German, Kalmar, the goal scorer for Melbourne City. And correct me if I'm wrong, gentlemen, but that makes him the first goal scorer for Melbourne City in a competitive match. Here's a bit of trivia. I'm going to ask a trivia question without knowing the answer. It's a cardinal sin. But who was Melbourne Heart's first ever goal scorer in an A-League fixture?
I know Ben Kantorowski scored an own goal for Melbourne Heart. I think it was in round 3 against Newcastle Jets.
Okay.
So I don't know if that counts as Melbourne Heart's goal.
The reason I ask is that Nick Kalmar went on a scoring spree in their first season in the A-League. So he is the scorer tonight, though, for Melbourne City. Sean Moran, around the grounds, there's been another goal.
Yeah, third goal at the Sydney United Sports Centre at Sydney United 58-3, Far North Queensland Heat 0. So it's pretty much safe to say that a Queensland team will be dropping out tonight out of the FFA Cup.
So Sydney United, a team which would have really put the focus on this match, and of course an NPL winner themselves in New South Wales, and then also winning the national playoff, going all the way in the first season that it was held. We've got confirmation of the goal scorer, Sean Moran.
Yeah, it's Pavlovic who's made it 3-0 there for Sydney United, and it was from a quick free kick.
Now we've got a shout out here for Chris, who's watching in Indonesia. Thank you, Anthony, for tweeting that through. So that's what, Italy, Brazil, Indonesia now.
Cyprus.
People watching all over the world. The FFA Cup really is capturing the imagination. Ball on the left. German sold it to the referee, and the referee obliged. It was a foul, to be fair, but he made sure that the referee definitely didn't miss.
Oh, he made a bit of a meal of it, but it was a foul. He's been clipped, and he's went down. And Sydney, like we said before, they haven't really taken advantage of their set-piece opportunities, and Melbourne showed them how it was done. This is a somewhat similar position to the one that was taken earlier, so hopefully it'll be a threatening one here for Sydney.
So a chance to retake the lead. Sean Moran quickly, the official attendance tonight.
It's 2,800 people.
Here's Petkovic with the free kick. Unmarked! A chance! It's scrambled away by Redmayne. And Gamero lost all the markers there in the area. And the Melbourne City defence backtracking, and Hoffman eventually able to put it out for a corner. But Gamero very nearly on the double and putting Sydney FC back into the lead.
Again, Andrew Redmayne committing coming out, but he didn't really make an attempt to go at the ball. He sort of stood there and jockeyed in mid-air and waited for a header to come through from Gamero. But I think
Here's the corner. First header, Sydney FC, still in the 6-yard box. Player down for City in the goal mouth. And what's the decision here?
It's a free kick for
Free
City.
kick for Melbourne City. For a moment I thought there may have been a penalty, but it looks as though... Was it Robbie Villard who, again, was left prone in the area there, was lying actually on the goal line as the ball scrambled around?
It was indeed Villard. It looked as though the referee might have taken a quick glance at the linesman just to confirm that was a foul there. But Sydney were definitely not too happy with that decision being made.
And thank you very much. Oh, we've got an incident here, a real to-do. Kisnorbo and Gamero. Cards are out of the pocket. Sean Evans, of course, towering among many of these players, so expecting to wield his authority here, the referee. And Sydney FC players eager to calm down Corey Gamero here. And now Nick Kalmar is getting into a bit of verbal jousting here. Over comes Matthew German.
I think he's got the slice of cheese there, Sean Evans.
Oh, there it is. I was wondering how long we would have to wait. So a booking, and hello to the Tasmanians from South Hobart who did a sensational job on last week's FFA Cup broadcast. It's about to be announced to the crowd here in Ballarat, so Sean Moran again, if you could give us the official attendance, please.
Yeah, 2,800 people have packed into Morshead Stadium. I think that might be a stadium record as well. So a fantastic crowd to get down to Ballarat midweek on a freezing cold night. So congratulations to everyone who's made the trip here.
And I was about to say, as that yellow card incident took place, thank you very much. We'll get back to that in a moment. We had someone listening in from Sweden as well, so the FFA Cup going all around the world, and thank you very much to Sydney FC and Melbourne City for making it happen. Ball at the top of the area. Here's Williams. Very brief opportunity. Slide tackle. Took the ball away from him. Moy, danger not averted yet for the Sky Blues. Moy turns on the ball to Madoka. Ramsey's breaking down the left. And now he's got a marker with him. Ramsey turns onto his right foot away from goal and then passes to Madoka. Kalmar. So it was Corey Gamero who got the yellow card, put it down in the 72nd minute. And perhaps that's the bit of spice we need in the game. With the match level potentially heading for extra time, both teams starting to really go for it.
Yeah, and Corey Gamero in particular, we've mentioned him quite a bit in this game. He was the goal scorer of the first one. He got the header in the second and almost put it away, if not for a clearance. And there he is again with a little clip to Patrick Kisnorbo, and it was a deserved booking.
Frustration there from Hoffman. He felt as though he might have been left exposed there as Sydney FC threatened to break, and there's a player down behind the ball. And New South Wales A-League clubs in the next round. Of course, Sydney FC might be there for them if they can score here. And that clearance is going behind for a corner from Kisnorbo. So time ticking away, and we now have just 11.5 minutes plus stoppage until full time.
Melbourne City also are readying Ben Garuccio on the sidelines. It looks as if he may come on for maybe someone like Mate Duganzic or Massimo Madoka and play through that midfield role. But as Sydney go forward now, it doesn't look as if they'll make the substitution.
So here comes the corner for Sydney FC. Chance here. Shouts for a penalty from Gamero. Danger not averted. Antonis's attempt into the area was blocked away. Out to the right, Nikola Petkovic is there. In a 1-on-2 though. Madoka wins the ball and does well. Antonis retreating. Gligor. He'll go all the way back to Janjetovic. And now the fitness difference between the teams, if there is one, might start to become apparent. A-League pre-seasons, many and varied. The number of games, where the games are played, the tactics used, whether it's playing training matches against trialists or whether the trialists are kept to a minimum. We know that Melbourne City, we actually spoke to their assistant manager, Luciano Trani, before a National Premier League's Victoria game about the level of recruiting done, and it really did seem, Adam Baroli, like Melbourne City have been scouting the National Premier League's Victoria quite extensively. Here's a chance. Gamero nearly catches Redmayne in possession. And now, out to the left-hand side, down the line, and out of bounds for a throw.
You just touched on that. I went down to one training session. I know they had Jordan O'Doherty from Melbourne Knights. He was training there, and also Luka Pralovic as Melbourne City make a substitution. It looks as if David Williams is coming off and Ben Garuccio coming on for Melbourne City.
So, formation-wise, what's that going to do to Melbourne City, Adam?
They'll just push James Brown, who's originally playing on the right-hand side. He'll be playing as the main striker. Ben Garuccio out to the left-hand side, playing as a left wing, and Mate Duganzic on the right wing. So they'll still play in the 4-3-3 formation, but it's just James Brown will be leading the line for Melbourne City instead of David Williams now.
And we're seeing on Twitter that a few viewers are having issues with the vision stream. Don't forget, we are simulcasting on the Livecast channel on TuneIn Radio and the Livecast app, so you can join us there if your vision stream is down. But stay with us. We'll go all through to penalty kicks if needed. Graham Arnold wants his team to do something about it. Hands up in the air. And very frustrated on the bench, waiting for the foul to be blown on that occasion. It eventually did arrive. And now Sydney FC have switched it to the left, and Petkovic will switch it back to the right. A good crossfield ball. This is the sort of opportunity they're starting to create.
Yeah, absolutely. And just with that giveaway there, just before the substitution came on, it was almost another very, very costly goalkeeping error from Andrew Redmayne, who...
Ball into the area. Here's a chance for Gamero. And it's a great save by Redmayne, getting down at his feet to deny him.
Just as we were beginning to mention his almost costly error, he's just pulled off a great save there. It was a lovely ball, and Gamero was able to come into the box. Unfortunately, Redmayne was just... He read it well, and he was able to skip it up that time.
So, Moy now for Melbourne City. Driving it forward. They're inviting him on. Duganzic through the right side of the area. And that one is wide. He was aiming for the top right corner, but he sends it well wide of the target.
Again, when Sydney FC go forward, they look dangerous. I think Melbourne City's defensive partnership of Robbie Villart and also Patrick Casnovo has been very shaky tonight. On a number of occasions, they've been called out. I think the communication's been down between the two. But yeah, when they both, Sydney FC have gone forward, they look, Melbourne City looks shaky when they're defending, and particularly between Robbie Villart and Patrick Casnovo. So there's a lot of work to do there for Melbourne City and John Van Schip.
And at the other end, Mate Duganzic again with another pretty decent chance. Yes, he was going towards the byline, but he was on his right foot, and he at least got that on target. He should have tested Janovic at least, but he sprayed that high and wide, so I don't think Mate Duganzic has brought his kick boots down up to Ballarat tonight.
Well, dew has settled. It rained on and off, not heavily, but extensively through the day. And now the players, they'll know what the pitch can do. But we've still seen a few slipping and sliding at times. It is actually an exceptional pitch. It's more the conditions that are challenging. And a poor pass has given Sydney FC an opportunity here. Gligor in the middle. Ibini
offside.
And Gamero, the flag is up. And just as he was readying himself to continue his duel with Redmayne, the assistant referee puts an end to the attack.
I think Abbas was calling possibly for Gamero to leave that. I think Abbas might have just been onside when Ibini played that ball through, so it's a little bit unfortunate there. But Gamero was clearly offside.
So, into the attacking half of Melbourne City. Ramsey. Back to Sydney. Normoff. To right back. Ibini. Back to goal. Lays it off. Out of bounds. End of the game is fast approaching. We're now just 6.5 minutes away from the end of 90 minutes. Just a reminder, 15 each way, extra time as per conventional rules, and then penalty kicks if needed.
Lovely
in the
touch
FFA Cup.
Ibini.
Sydney FC don't want to go that far. Here's Antonis out to the right. Normoff being guarded by Ramsey. Back in board. Antonis fouled by Moy, and Sean Evans has got the yellow card out of the pocket straight away. And so Moy, who had the assist for Melbourne City's only goal, becomes their second player in the book, and he joins Ian Ramsey with that booking in the 84th minute.
Yeah, not the sort of place where you want to be committing fouls, particularly late on. You've got the tall timber of Sydney FC again. It's German and Ognovsky getting into that area and really going to pose a big threat from this set piece. And, you know, with only a few minutes remaining and Sydney not offering a huge amount of danger there, it's a poor foul to commit, and hopefully for Melbourne City's sake they can withstand this attack.
So this might be the chance. A goal now could be the winner. Here's the free kick. Petkovic swings it in. He was aiming at German. It's headed away. Well defended by Melbourne City. And now charging out of defence. The follow-up comes through from Abbas, but it's always bending wide. And it is out of bounds for a goal kick.
Yeah, ambitious attempt there by Ali Abbas, but who knows? If you don't try your luck, you won't win the lottery, as they say. But both teams are looking to go forward now. It's good to see with roughly 6 minutes to go in this game. Both teams are looking to push on. Maybe they don't want to go to extra time, particularly in this cold, wet weather, slippery conditions. But yeah, it's good to see both teams pushing on and trying to create chances with only minutes to go.
We've been told of an amazing save to keep the Bentley Greens alive in their match against Blacktown City. We'll get to that at the next lull or break in play. Right now, though, City trying to move the ball on. And that pass is errant to German. And he goes into the centre. Antonis, been ever present in this match. Kalmar's had a lot of the ball, but Antonis is starting to come into his own. And right on cue, he's chasing here. Brown out to the right. Taganzic has got plenty of space. Does he take it in or pick across? He's going to drive in the right side and now send it low, and it's held by Jan Jedovic. Sean Moran, Alistair Bray has apparently pulled off a worldie.
He has, with only 4 minutes remaining there in Sydney. It's Alistair Bray. It was actually a long strike that was tipped over the bar by the Bentley keeper, and we know Alistair Bray, I think he's a Melbourne City youth team, isn't he, guys? So good signs for him and great signs for Bentley. They're only a few minutes away from potentially hosting an A-League team at the Kingston Heath. So, great for Victorian football as well.
It would be 3 of Victoria's 4 State League teams through if the Bentley Greens win, with Melbourne Knights, who arguably had the toughest of the ties, drawn away to Olympic FC in Brisbane, the only one to go out. So it would be good news for Victorian football, and of course the
front, and really deny a goal scoring opportunity there for Sydney FC.
We are into the 89th minute now.
And just to mention Abini, I think he's really come more into the game in these last 20-25 minutes.
Here it comes, cleared from the near post by Brown. Good header.
He was quite anonymous, Abini, in the first half. Didn't really get many touches, and now he's starting to break a bit more, and Sydney FC are starting to control this game a little bit more.
Wide to Petkovic on the left. He's got time and lays off a pass. Ognanovsky pressing forward in the area. Ognanovsky shoots, and it's straight at Redmayne, who holds. Sean Moran, a late consolation goal around the ground.
Yes, Far North Queensland have got one back. It's a little bit too late, so it's 4-1, Sydney United 58.
And Bernie Abini is going to get a yellow card for that handball in midfield.
I think it was possibly because he kicked it away. I think that's a little bit harsh, potentially. If it was a handball, then obviously if it's a legitimate trying to put the ball up. I thought it was maybe because he tried to kick it away and he's been booked for that. But unfortunate from Abini there.
Yeah, I think it was a handball. I saw him dish out, put his hand out as City looked to go forward there, and a real opportunity to counter-attack. As I think it was Ben Garuccio who was wide open on the left-hand side there. So I think Bernie Abini put his arm out to stop that play.
Now Hoffman for City. A goal now will surely win it. Extra time is looming in Ballarat. Just a reminder, the overnight predicted low was 0 degrees. And we are getting ever closer to that predicted low here in the commentary tent. Back to Violard. Don't tell me they're going to settle for extra time. They've got to attack. Melbourne City. Moy into the middle. 1-2. Back to Kalmar. City still 1-1. And we have now ticked into stoppage time. Hoffman. Top of the area. Brown. Can't keep control of the ball. Ognanovsky comes through. How much stoppage are we playing?
Yeah, the ref has awarded 3 minutes of additional time in this second half, so 3 minutes for either side to score a winner.
A round of 16. Bertha waits. Ramsey. Moy. And out of bounds. And it's a throw. Lakova happy. They're singing. They're chanting.
Confirmation of that goal scorer, Teo. It was Alex Smith who scored in stoppage time for Far North Queensland.
At the heart of defence. Petkovic clears it away. Thank you, Sean Moran, keeping an eye on all things around the grounds. As it stands, is this match the only one that is going to extra time, or has there not been a goal yet in Adelaide City versus Western Sydney Wanderers?
No, it's still 0-0 there at the Martin Sports Complex between Western Sydney.
Down the line, Hoffman passing to Abini. We've now played 1 minute of stoppage time at the end of the 90. Ibini. Moving now with Antonis. Lays it through. Here's a chance for Sydney FC. It's Normoff to win it! And it goes wide! Takes a deflection, out for a corner. Chris Normoff so close to putting Sydney FC through to the round of 16.
Yeah, great run there by Chris Normoff to cut inside of Ian Ramsey and find himself in a real good opportunity. But again, Ian Ramsey's ability to track back and cover and get his foot in the way of that shot by Chris Normoff, going inches wide of the upright and saving Melbourne City's blushes there. Sydney FC with a chance now.
So a set piece deep in stoppage time. Here it comes from the left. To the near post, Ognanovsky with the flick. It goes out of bounds, and Sean Moran, we have a full-time score.
Yes, at the Lilies Football Centre, it's finished Blacktown City 0, Bentley Greens 1. So the third Victorian team to get through to the next round, the round of 16 of the FFA Cup. Bentley Greens, and it was David Sturton in the 40th minute scoring for Bentley.
Oh, David Sturton, we love you because you're a Victorian. And I'll put the parochialism away for a moment. Goal kick, Sydney FC, so close to winning it. 2 minutes of stoppage now gone. 45 seconds to go, and a Sydney FC free kick. Score now, and they can win it and go to the next round. Abbas. Antonis. Moy will take the ball. Melbourne City, perhaps a counter-attack. German's going to come across and intercept. Petkovic. Time the enemy, just 20 seconds to go. High diagonal ball. Normoff. So close a moment ago. On the right. Cuts onto his left. Into the area. Abbas with the volley! And Redmayne with a great save. Superb technique from Ali Abbas, and he nearly produces the match winner.
Lovely build-up play there from Sydney. It was a great ball from Tenny Antonis across the ball over to Naumoff, and it was a good ball and it went deep, and Abbas just with that left-footed opportunity take a slight deflection, and Redmayne's done well to save. Luckily it didn't backspin into the net, but he's gathered it well there. Good save, and an unlucky another chance for Sydney FC.
And there is the full-time whistle. 90 minutes down, 30 to go. And on sydneyfc.com.au, melbournecityfc.com.au, the Livecast channel on TuneIn Radio, the Livecast app, and on livecast.com.au. 30 more minutes, guys. We are going to extra time.
As much as I'd love the extra time, I'll tell you what, my toes are freezing, but I'll deal with the pain and I'll push through this. I'm really looking forward to this extra 30 minutes. Sydney FC got on top towards the back end of that second half. Melbourne City started off better at the start of that second half, but a great second half it was. The tempo had really lifted in the game. The first half was a bit slower. No one was really moving around. Sydney were lucky to get the goal that they did because Andrew Redmayne's crazy moment just to run out on goal, but that second half was really what we were expecting from the get-go. Both teams were able to lift the tempo, pass the ball around and create chances, and if that second half's anything to go by, hopefully we got another exciting 30 minutes to go.
Yeah, and once Melbourne City actually got that goal, it was a lovely goal as well. It was a good free kick, a bit of shoddy defending, shall we say? A bit of shoddy defending from the Sydney defence, but it was a lovely flick on and well put away from Nick Kalmar. After that goal, however, Sydney decided to come out and play their football again. They had most of the opportunities coming into those last 25 minutes, and they were really unfortunate. The Patrick Casnobo flick on that almost just scrambled its way past Andrew Redmayne, bouncing off the post, and obviously Gamiero's header when Redmayne came out and was once again caught in no man's land. Luckily it was cleared by the defender, so Sydney have had the bulk of the chances coming in and most of the momentum coming into extra time here.
So Sean Moran, take us around the grounds in the other Westfield FFA Cup round of 32 ties.
Yes, at Adelaide City versus Western Sydney Wanderers, it still remains 0-0. I think 70 minutes have been played there. Adelaide City doing quite well to keep in this, and by the sounds of it, are looking quite strong in defence. Blacktown City have lost and gone down 1-0 to Bentley Greens. David Sturton with the goal there after 40 minutes, and Sydney United were 4-1 winners over Far North Queensland Heat. It was Ante Tomilic, Mileski and Pavlovic with a brace there for Sydney United, and Alex Smith getting a consolation goal for Far North Queensland in stoppage time there.
So it's been a very good night for the Victorian teams in the Westfield FFA Cup. Bentley Greens go through. They become the third State League Victorian team out of the four that qualified to get through to the next round. But will their Hyundai A-League counterparts, Melbourne City, be able to find a way through? It's been a relatively brisk turnaround here. I think that both teams won't want to spend too long rejuvenating. Of course, cold weather, so very different to the World Cup where we would see seemingly endless delays between the end of 90 minutes and the start of full time. But I think both teams are pretty eager to get back out there and get things restarted.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say Sydney in particular because of the way that they were playing coming into the end of the half. We've got a substitution from Melbourne City as well, just being announced of.
Yep, Nick Kalmar is off and Stefan Mork is coming on. So Melbourne City's goal scorer is out of the game and Stefan Malk is into the match.
You can suspect now that Aaron Moy would drop back and fill the void that Nick Kalmar's left, because Stefan Mork's a really attacking midfielder, likes to run with the ball and take on players. So you'd suspect Aaron Moy will sit back now and really try and dictate play like Nick Kalmar was trying to do.
So here we go. It's time for extra time.
You're listening to the Westfield FFA Cup. Let's go to the livecast commentary team and join Teo Palazzeri.
Yes, we reset at the start of extra time. Morshead Park in Ballarat will see 30 more minutes of action. Melbourne City 1, Sydney FC 1. Teo Palazzeri is my name, and joined tonight by Sean Moran, Ryan McGee and Adem Baroli, streaming on the Sydney FC and Melbourne City FC websites, and also on the livecast channel on the TuneIn Radio app. 30 more minutes, and we are underway. Melbourne City in the white, attacking the left of screen, and Sydney FC in the sky blue and blue shorts will be attacking the right of screen. Will we get another goal, or are we going all the way to penalties?
I think that's going to depend on how each side approach this 30 minutes, whether there's going to be a little bit more adventurous football being played, or whether they're going to sit back and try and absorb the pressure. I think Melbourne City, being the home side, they'd want to, really take it to the opposition and go for it. But, notwithstanding that, they look quite a little bit vulnerable when Sydney were pressing in that final 20 minutes of the second period there. So they'd want to make sure that they don't concede here. But for City's point of view, let's hope, and for the home crowd, that they really take it to Sydney.
Here's the throw from the right. Abini lays it back. Ryle to Abini again. Caught by Moy, and then getting across. Gligor puts it out for a throw.
Just at the start there, a poor ball from Garuccio putting Melbourne City under unnecessary pressure with a throw-in for Sydney. They've managed to reclaim it though, so hopefully Melbourne City don't make a habit of doing that, otherwise Sydney will punish them the way they've been playing.
Here's a chance now. Deflected down, straight back out of bounds. And that is one of the second half substitutes, Garuccio, who has come into the game. Ryan, will we get a goal, or are we heading for penalties?
I'm certainly hoping for a couple more goals. If we get one, then, that'll really open it up a whole lot more, and only with 30 minutes to play, you're really going to have to press and possibly score more goals. So I would say at the moment it's definitely Sydney who are looking in the ascendancy.
Don't forget, hashtag FFA Cup and also MBC for Melbourne City versus SYD. We've got a booking.
Yeah, James Brown's been given a yellow card for his tackle on, I think it was Terry Antonis. He'll be looking to get into the game a bit more in this extra time, because when he was substituted on in the second half, he was very quiet. So he'll be hoping, as the lone striker up top for Melbourne City, he'll be looking to play in and get in the game.
And don't forget, if you are having issues with the Vision stream, we are simulcasting on Livecast, the Livecast channel on TuneIn Radio, and also the Livecast app. So if you are having problems, come over and join us on the audio stream. Here's Ognanovsky. Hitting it back to Jan Jedovic. Gotta say, Morshead Park has really held up under the pressure of 2,801 supporters tonight. Big crowd, all the amenities being tested, and it seems as though we've got a lot of happy punters still standing here with us in the outer and also in the grandstand, which, as the viewers can see, is absolutely packed.
Yeah, a lot of these fans have been starved football for many months now, so I think having paid the admission fee and having made the trip out to Ballarat, I don't think they'll be too concerned with an extra 30 minutes of entertainment.
Here's Kisnorbo.
Making a bit of a menacing run there into the box, but being blocked off by a few Sydney players, trying to make something happen for Melbourne here.
Out to the right. There has been a lift in intensity at the start of this first half of extra time. 15 minutes each way, then penalties if required. Violart. Kisnorbo. And now Ramsey. No. Medoka. Ramsey is standing right in front of our commentary tent. All the way back to Redmayne in goal. He's waiting for an option. Hits it long up to the halfway line. And now Ramsey's away. He's got a chance here for Melbourne City. And the cross is deflected out by Ognanovsky. It's a corner.
real chance there for Melbourne City as Seb Roll overcommitted. He went to go up for the... Andrew Redmayne kicked it out. He went to go up for the header against Ben Garuccio, but both missed the ball, and Ian Ramsey found himself in some open space now, as I think Melbourne City may look to go short for this corner with Garuccio.
They do, and here comes the cross into the area. Too close to Janjetovic, and he holds comfortably, and then sprints out to the top of the area and comes to a stop.
Yeah, disappointing ball there. Way too close to Janjetovic, and quite easy for him. I think City are going to have to do a lot better than that if they really want to try and penetrate the Sydney defence, who, let's be honest, for the most part, apart from that set piece where they actually conceded, have been quite strong and really haven't looked like conceding tonight. So the other point I was going to mention was that it's going to be a great test of the fitness of both teams. Obviously we're still a couple of months out. They're still in their pre-season. They've got a long way to go till the kick-off of round one, so it'll be a good test of how their pre-season has gone thus far.
Here's a chance now. Blocked away. Garuccio with the attempt. Charge down. Gligor. And it's only as far as Kisnorbo. Ball out to the left and out of bounds. A little half chance there for Garuccio, though, the sub.
Yeah, half chance, but again, as Sean just said, not enough. Melbourne City haven't really created any chances of real note, apart from the chance created by, apart from the goal, really.
Big goal around the ground. Sean Moran.
Huge goal at Adelaide. Adelaide City have taken the lead against Western Sydney Wanderers. It's Thomas Love who's opened the scoring. So the Western Sydney Wanderers under the cosh. It's Adelaide City 1, Western Sydney Wanderers 0, and that's with not many minutes to go.
Substitution, Adam Baroli.
Yeah, substitution has been made, Taylor. Sebastian Rye, who's made way for Pedran Bowic for Sydney FC, so you'd assume that's a like-for-like substitution there. Seb Ryle, a natural right back, and Pedro Bowic coming on, who's also a right back, Teo.
So Bojic into the game, and Adelaide City in front of the Wanderers, in front of what I understand is a 2,700 crowd. That is just fantastic for the FFA Cup in general. Nothing against the Wanderers fans, of course, but gee, if Adelaide City get the result there, that is the biggest result of the round of 32.
Yeah, it is, in particular Western Sydney, how good they've been since their inception to come up. And as we were talking about earlier, that's what the FFA Cup's... Wait, as Melbourne City go forward now, Taro.
Here's a chance. Brown. It slides off the boot, though. Headed away by German. Moy had thoughts of a long shot, decided against it. Now out to Madoka on the right. And he'll bring it back. Hoffman. Back out to Madoka. Melbourne City in possession. At the top of the area. Now turning, Brown. And they're just laying the ball side to side, and eventually the attempt at the through pass there from Deganzic is collected by Janjetovic.
As we touched on earlier about the FFA Cup, it's about the Minnows versus the Giants and Adelaide City. That's what we come to see in the FFA Cup. Hopefully, no disrespect to Western Sydney, but a lot of the lesser teams coming up and providing a good performance against the A-League based teams.
Moy sliding the ball through, looking for Madoka. Good interception there by Ognanovski. And now Ali Abbas. And goes back to Petkovic. It's down the line, straight to Violart. And it's bouncing favourably for Brown. Lost possession of the ball, though. Ebini for Sydney FC. He's got Normoff on the right, ignores him. Wants to drift over to the left instead, where Gamero is waiting. But he's also got Abbas there, passing back. Opportunity now. Antonis. Brought to ground, and that will be a foul. In shooting territory, Nicky Calbo has been subbed out of the game. So who will step up here for Sydney FC? Pej Bojic, as we know, has a rocket of a free kick on him, and this is in a great position here for Sydney FC to try and take the lead.
It looks as if Nikola Petkovic will try and claim this one for Sydney FC, but it's interesting to see Bernie Abini still on the park after playing 77 minutes Sunday night for the A-League All-Stars, and now he's still on going into extra time. So we thought Graham Ardle may have made a substitution earlier on him, but it's interesting to see how he holds up as Petkovic looks to take the free kick now for Sydney FC.
So it's Nikola Petkovic over the free kick. 3 in the wall. Redmayne barking instructions, and players lined up at the top of the area ready to follow it in. Petkovic, and it's cleared by the near man in Madoka. Comes out to Antonis, and an ambitious long shot goes across the face of goal, but that really is a waste.
Oh, worth a shot there from Terry Antonis.
No, not Antonis' shot, Petkovic's free kick.
Yeah, that's right. But, if you managed to get that on target and at least test Redmayne, that would have been, a half-decent attempt. But yeah, Sydney FC, look, putting a little bit more pressure on their hosts here and getting a little bit closer, but Terry Antonis would probably want to do better next time with an attempt like that, as it's still 1-0 to Adelaide over Western Sydney, guys, with not too long to go there.
That is exciting stuff, as is this. Extra time here in Ballarat, Morshead Park. Out to the right, and the ball is headed away out of bounds for a throw. We've still got 6,900 people watching the live vision of this at the moment, and plenty more listening in on livecast to the audio simulcast of tonight's broadcast. And we thank all our Melbourne-based and international viewers for tuning in. It really is a pleasure to bring you the Westfield FFA Cup on the Melbourne City FC and Sydney FC websites. Ball in the middle. Madoka looks up. And now we'll play a crossfield pass. Hoffman. He's got Deganzic drifting wide for him, but he would prefer to go back to Violart in defence. And now Violart back to Hoffman. Madoka back to Violart. So City patient in the build-up. We've already played 9.5 minutes of this first half of extra time. Moy to Mork. And now he lays it off on the left for Ramsey. He's got space. Can he find a man? High cross, and it is into the cove behind the goal.
Yeah, not the first time tonight we've seen Melbourne City get down those left and right flanks respectively and put in some really underwhelming deliveries into the area there, and that one didn't even make it into the area. So, they really want to improve that in the final 20 minutes if they really want to score, as we see substitution from Sydney FC with Bernie Abini coming off and being replaced by Alex Gersbach. So Bernie Abini's night coming to an end. He's done quite well actually after playing in Sydney only 2 days ago against Juventus to really put in 110 minutes. A very good shift for Abini.
And so that is, correct me if I'm wrong, but all substitutes exhausted for both teams. Kisnorbo. Header into the centre of the park. 50-50 ball. Abbas may have won it, but it went straight to Madoka. Mork plays it into Gligor. And Gligor over the top looking for Normov. Kisnorbo coming across, and even against the substitute, Kisnorbo just seemed to have the edge and pace there. It's trapped down in the corner. And now coming out Sydney FC's way. Antonis cross into the area, and Hoffman saves the day. Gligor, danger not averted yet for Melbourne City. Abbas laid off, and Moy comes away with the ball. But Jason Hoffman there with a goal-saving interception, and Brown on the counter-attack is caught in possession by Petkovic. It rolls back to Janjetovic. His clearance is shanked straight to Madoka. Abbas, cool under pressure though, and gets the header to a teammate.
That was great pace shown there by Petkovic. I didn't think it was that fast. I knew James Brown had a lot of pace. I thought that was a really good opportunity, but Petkovic went with him step by step, so it was really good defending there by the Sydney FC defender, Teo.
And hello to Richard, who's listening in Portugal. So, again, the FFA Cup capturing the imagination of Australians all over the world. They're all tuning in to watch and listen to this round of 32 match between these two Hyundai A-League clubs, Melbourne City and Sydney FC. Here's Ramsey on the left. Back to Kisnorbo. We've now crossed 12 minutes in the first half of extra time. Just 3 until they change direction. 18 until potential penalty kicks. Garuccio. Nutmeg. And now hits the left byline. Cuts back onto his right. Here's the cross. Ognanovsky defended it well. Moy shouts to shoot, and it's blocked straight away off his boot by Abbas. Well done by the Sydney FC midfielder. German comes back in board for Abbas. Moy is there, winning it for City. And now Stefan Mork plays it to Garuccio. That's a neat trick just a moment ago to go through Bojic. On this occasion he passes to Ramsey. And now to Moy.
Yeah, that was a lovely run from Garuccio. When the ball came down, he showed a great bit of strength to shove the Sydney defender out of the way, then also the nutmeg, and then cutting back inside. Unfortunately, the ball wasn't the best delivery, but a lovely bit of play there.
Sydney FC pressing up, putting the pressure on Kisnorbo. He hits the left sideline. Nice flick by Garuccio. That's 2 Ole moments in the space of a minute. Do they come in threes? If he scores the winner here, they do. And he's caught in possession by Abbas. Attack hasn't broken down just yet. Brown out to Ramsey. Ramsey to Moy. Shooting opportunity here. It's Moy! Oh! It's the woodwork! And it goes over, and it did get a little flick on it from Janjetovic. No, it didn't.
It's a goal kick.
I thought he did, but it hit the woodwork only. Out for a goal kick. Thrilling stuff, and boy, we've been calling for the long shot all night, and finally he loads up and very nearly finds the go-ahead goal.
I'm with you on that one. I thought it did get a flick by Janjetovic, but he thought he had that well and truly covered and it was going well over, but it hit the crossbar. Great attempt by Moy as he lined the shot up. The fans are calling out shoot, but Melbourne City is starting to get on top now with Sydney FC. They've been able to hold the possession in their third, and we've seen some good moments by Garuccio and also Aaron Moy now. So interesting to see with 5 or so minutes left in this extra time period what pans out. Teo?
So now cross-field ball. That one's going to be intercepted by Bojic. And then Garuccio with a foul. Sean Moran, what minute are we? Do we have the latest update for Adelaide City leading against Western Sydney Wanderers?
I think it's only a handful of minutes left there. I think they're getting very close to the 90th minute, and it's still Adelaide City 1, Western Sydney Wanderers 0, and the goal from Adelaide City coming from Thomas Love.
So a potential boil over. That's what the FFA Cup is all about. Adelaide City ahead against the Western Sydney Wanderers. Nothing against the Wanderers. It really just is what the Cup demands and what the Cup hopes for. And even though we have been a little bit shy of goals compared to some of the other rounds or evenings that we've had so far, this one is starting to pack plenty of drama. And Sydney FC are looking for a goal here. Opportunity on the left. Slide challenge comes in. Well done by Madoka. And it's out of bounds for a throw. And Madoka a little bit sore. Of course, it's a cold night, so cramp probably isn't going to be the enemy. You suspect this is a foot injury, but both teams not early in pre-season, but a long way from their first competitive fixture. So what are they, a third of the way through pre-season? Both teams look pretty fit. I mean, this is 2 professional outfits, so you'd expect nothing less.
Absolutely, but I would say it's Sydney that are looking tired at the moment. They're letting Melbourne get back up again and try and keep the ball and keep possession, and when you're able to do that this late in the game and Sydney run around chasing, it's really not going to help in extra time, and I think it showed.
And there is half-time in extra time. We played 30 extra seconds. We are 15 away from another penalty shootout. And so they will switch ends, they will go for it, but other than that long shot from Moy, we didn't see too much evidence that there is going to be a goal to decide this one without the need for spot kicks.
No, we had a minute or two of some pretty enterprising football, and where both sides actually took a little bit of a risk, but I guess for the majority of that half it was quite conservative from both teams. No one really wants to lose this game, and it won't be too long before I think Janjetovic and Andrew Redmayne get ready for a penalty shootout, because the way this is going, unless either team can really take a punt and really take a risk and throw men forward and try and win this, it looks as if this is going to the spot kick. So
just on Melbourne City in that first period of extra time, I thought they were really on top in that. Ben Garuccio come on. He was a real live wire for Melbourne City. He offered so much down on that left wing. He was able to, one of those moments early on, he created a good chance by himself. He was able to hold off Chris Normoff, push forward, nutmeg Pej Bojic, and then fake for the cross. And then I can't remember which Sydney defender it was, though. He slid in, missed the opponent and the ball. And then, unfortunately for Melbourne City, the ball was lacking in the end. But Melbourne City, in that first period of extra time, were the better team. I thought they were able to dictate play, move the ball on their terms, and I think, as I just touched on, Ben Garuccio was a real live wire and great impact for Melbourne City. Taylor?
Second half of extra time about to kick off. Well played, Matthew Morrow. Hashtag FFA Cup. He says he's listening in from the Mawson Base in Antarctica. Well, we have had some obscure shout-outs tonight, so Matthew, well played. Hashtag FFA Cup. We are live and interactive and into the second half of extra time. It is getting increasingly cold here in Ballarat. Shouts for a handball. And it is going to be Melbourne City ball. Only a throw, though. Antonis was shouting.
I think it's going to be a Sydney ball.
Sydney ball. Apologies. In it comes. Gamero scored in the 23rd minute. Feels a long time ago now. And the ball is out of bounds. Garuccio there with the tackle. So Sydney bring it back into play. Normoff has been one of the game changers. Had a great chance to win it inside the 90. And then laid off another great opportunity for Sydney FC, which wasn't converted. Ball into the area. Redmayne comes out and collects the ball. And we've certainly had Redmayne copping a bit of flack tonight from some of the Melbourne City fans, and also standing in front of the Cove getting the Bronx, but his thoughts turn to penalties now, and he can be the hero. Hoffman wants to do something about it right now, though. Duganzic, I think he knew he was offside. Just mistimed his run, and the flag goes up. But after what was largely considered a goalkeeping error for the opener, Andrew Redmayne now, his thoughts, and also the thoughts of Vedran Janjetovic must be turning to penalty kicks.
Yeah, definitely, and I think for Andrew Redmayne's sake, he'll be quite satisfied with how he's done since obviously his little brain fade there in the first half, but he's looked a little bit more confident with his hands and even on his feet there when he came out and had a Manuel Neuer-esque moment to clear the ball away. He looked a little bit more confident and assured of himself, so he'll be feeling a lot better ahead of this penalty shootout, but yeah, we'll wait and see whether it'll actually go to that.
Yeah, it does look as though Redmayne might have been watching a bit too much of Manuel Neuer at the World Cup, the way he's been running out lately. But, if they can all be sweepers, that can only be a good thing.
Here's a chance for Sydney FC. Long shot, high, and bending further and further wide as it sails into the crowd. Lots of coats, lots of hoodies here on our side of the ground. And it is just really cold. Now, Benny O'Neill watching the MBC v SYD FFA Cup stream with Matt Ryan, Socceroo in Bruges. Wow. Well, shout out, thank you, Benny and Matt, for tuning in and watching on the Sydney FC and Melbourne City FC websites. If you're interested, Friday night, Victorian Women's Premier League, Box Hill United versus Sandringham. That one starts 8:25 p.m. Melbourne time and will be on the livecast channel on TuneIn Radio.
Maybe we can get Matt Ryan as a guest appearance on Friday night.
Well, we seem to have a knack with goalkeepers. Griffin McMaster, of course, former A-League professional, one of our regular expert commentators, and the only reason he's not here tonight is because he had training. Pretty decent reason. Haji Gligor into the middle. Nice flick by Normov, but it's to no one in particular. Ryan to Moy. And Moy passes it to Hoffman. Starting to venture, getting involved. On this occasion
for Adelaide City as Western Sydney Wanderers bow out at the first stage.
So Melbourne City chasing the game now. Sydney FC via an Ali Abbas penalty in the 111th minute into the lead. Jason Hoffman sent off for his last-ditch lunge, which legged Corey Gamero. And now against 10 men, Sydney FC, well, a third does kill it off. Antonis down the right. Slide challenge comes in from Kisnorbo. How, if there is a way, Adam Baroli, can Melbourne City get back in the match?
Well, they've just got to keep moving the ball forward, move it quicker. I know I might be stating the obvious here, but with only minutes to go, they just have to move the ball quicker and get it forward. We've got Mate Dugunzic now, looks as if playing in the front two with James Brown, who's floating a little bit behind him. But they just have to get the ball back. Sydney's been able to hold the ball. They have to move it quicker, push the ball on forward, and just get numbers forward and try their luck. Go direct, maybe. That's something they haven't gone. Change it up a little bit, because they need that goal, obviously, with only 10 or so minutes left.
So City in possession, but Mork has the ball taken off him by Bojic. And now, here's Antonis. In through the right side of the area. Knocked over. Another penalty. Robbie Violart this time.
Ben Garuccio, I think it was.
Ben Garuccio. Robbie Violart on the scene, but it was Garuccio who gave it away.
Yeah, no real protest there from any of the players involved. None of the Melbourne fans put their hand up. It was a clear-cut penalty, I think, for all concerned. And Andrew Redmayne, I think, is the only player who's protesting, but really a chance for Sydney FC to put this game to bed.
Well, we have gone to penalties, literally, but not a penalty shootout. And Sydney FC can secure their passage through to the round of 16 of the Westfield FFA Cup right here.
Ali Abbas again to take the penalty too.
So Abbas has one. He went low to the bottom right last time. Does he have a preferred spot? Or does he have a variation? Redmayne must save it to give Melbourne City any hope at all of getting through to the next round. Here's Abbas. Left foot again. Bottom right corner again. And Sydney FC are heading to the round of 16 in the Westfield FFA Cup.
And the penalty, the second one, a lot more clear-cut by the seaming of it. Terry Antonis just being able to drag it back a little, and Ben Garuccio with his tackling foot has just swiped him down, and Abbas has placed it in the exact same position that he did in the first penalty, bottom right-hand corner, bottom left to the keeper, and it's been Sydney's game throughout, and Melbourne City, they did pick it up in extra time, but obviously they haven't done enough, they haven't tested the keeper enough, and considering the chances that Sydney have had, and on the balance of play overall, I'd say it's well deserved for Sydney.
We'll say it was in the 115th minute, so 2 penalty kicks, 4 minutes apart. Ali Abbas looks as though he will deliver Sydney FC through to the next round of the Westfield FFA Cup, and Melbourne City, well, they did well to get it to extra time, but it looks as though their venture to Ballarat and first competitive hit-out is going to end in an extra time defeat. Gamero, gap starting to open up. Holds up the ball. He wants to shoot it himself. Blocked away. Well played by Kisnorbo. Danger not averted. Here's Normoff. Right side of the area. Abbas. And it's out for a goal kick.
And must point out it's been 3 defensive errors from Melbourne City that have actually helped contribute to their 3 goals that they've conceded. It hasn't been particularly Sydney who've opened them up. I think it's City themselves who've completely unravelled and capitulated, and something that John Van Schip will really need to work out and negotiate before the season begins.
You think Corey Gramari's chance was a really good opportunity by him. He took the ball down well, as Ryan said. But, as you mentioned, other than that, they haven't really created... They've had a shot here and there, but they haven't really opened Melbourne City up.
German. Gaps continuing to open here. Sydney FC pressing for what would be a 4th goal. It's already in the bank. That would just be insurance, really. Ognanovsky. Gligor. And we've now got just 4 minutes to go here in extra time. Ball out to the right. German. Game stops ever so briefly to walking pace. Now hits a diagonal ball. Brought down. Normoff on the overlap. Bojic is there. Gamero calling for it in the area. Totally unmarked. But coming out, Redmayne plucks the ball out of the air. And now Madoka for Melbourne City. Passing to Mork. Brown was making a run. Mork decides to lay it off. Ramsey. Garuccio. And he's on the edge of the area on the left. Ben Garuccio. Squares it to the top of the box. Straight to Ali Abbas. And he gives it to Moy. But Moy loses out. And it's gone to Antonis. Crowd falls silent. Cold night here in Ballarat. And we wish everyone who came up from Sydney, but also everyone who drove from Melbourne, a safe trip home tonight. And for those of you watching from the comfort of your lounge room or at work, depending on what time zone you're in, we thank you all sincerely for joining us on the Sydney FC and Melbourne City FC websites for the live stream tonight. We're into the dying moments of this game. 2.5 minutes to go in extra time now. Sydney FC 3, Melbourne City 1. Ball in the middle. Moy hasn't stopped trying. He's got a bit of a channel to run into here. Ognanovsky is looking at him and guarding. Lays it off. Brown. And that one under hit straight to Janjetovic, who holds.
Another good effort by Aaron Moy. As you mentioned, he hasn't stopped working. He's been tirelessly trying to get the ball back and lay the ball off to other players in better positions. And on that occasion, it was Ian Ramsey. But again, his final ball into the box has just let him down and Melbourne City down. On a number of times, he's got forward. Even in particular the first half, he got forward. He had some space, and then he wasn't able to get that final ball into one of his players into the box. Taylor
Mork, and he wins a throw into the area, looking for Deganzic, intercepted by Ognanovsky. He just clears for territory and bombs it into the crowd. Sean Moran just repeating the big talking point and the big story of the night. Adelaide City have eliminated Western Sydney Wanderers.
Yeah, it was Thomas Love's second half goal that's given Adelaide City a 1-0 win over Western Sydney and knocked out the Glamour A-League club. So a huge result there in this FFA Cup round of 32.
Certainly is, because the way the FFA Cup was set up was that at least one non-A-League team would make it through to the quarterfinals. Well, now one has been knocked out by a state league team. So there's going to be 2 vacancies there in that final 8 at a minimum. Ball out to the left. Shouts for offside. Flag isn't going up just yet. Garuccio didn't want to play it in on his right, wanted his left foot. Gets it to Brown, and it is taken off him. We're into the final minute of extra time now, assuming that there is not much by way of stoppage. There might be a minute due to the length of time between the Hoffman sending off and the penalty kick. Here's Brown. Ognanovsky getting in with a good challenge. Moy to Deganzic. Top of the area. Surrounded by light blue shirts, though. 1-on-4 in that situation. And Petkovic will come away with the ball to Ali Abbas, who walks out of this game with a double. I'd suggest that he wouldn't be too high up in the man of the match voting, though. Off the back of one of his teammates, and now Gamero out to the left. Sydney FC. Do they take it to the corner? No, they're happy to keep it moving. apologies if any profanities came through from Vedran Janjetovic there. We heard it loud and clear. Ball out to the right. Goalkeepers, of course, the most vocal on the field. And now back to that player, Janjetovic. And we have now played 120 minutes. There will be 1 minute of stoppage time. And there's a foul in midfield. So just around the panel, guys, who is man of the match tonight in this game?
I think Corey Grameo, he's been the real difference tonight. He scored the 1 goal, got the penalty for the 2nd goal. He's been lively, running down the wings, causing havoc for Melbourne City's defence. But, Corey Grameo, I think, was a standout for me tonight. He's been exceptional, offering support for his Sydney counterparts. Sean?
Yeah, I thought Bernie Abini actually looked good for mine in that midfield there, and, backing up after playing only 2 days ago in Sydney and making his way down here for Sydney has been really good, and I think Abini would get my vote tonight.
Sorry, there's quite a few options for me. I would have said Moy. I thought Moy's played quite well for Melbourne City. Unfortunately, his teammates have somewhat let him down as well.
And there it is, full time. Sydney FC progress to the round of 16 in the Westfield FFA Cup. They win 3-1 at Morshead Park in Ballarat after extra time. 2 goals, both of them penalties to Ali Abbas and Corey Gamero, the scorers for Melbourne City. Nick Kalmar scored their only goal. All over in Ballarat. Entertaining at times, slow at times as well. It did have a bit of a pre-season feel to it. But Sean Moran, Adam Baroli and Ryan McGee, your thoughts on what we've just watched?
Yeah, Melbourne City's first ever competitive game ends in defeat. Not the result that their fans and that the board and all the players would have wanted ahead of a pretty good fixture against Sydney FC and a good test out. They brought all their players here apart from the marquee Corrin. Every single player that's going to be in this team except from David Villa made the trip up to Ballarat. They were taking this game extremely seriously. John Manship said before the game that it was going to be a good test for his players and that it was going to be an opportunity for his players to really show what they've been able to do in pre-season, and also that the pressure was going to be on them with a lot of people expecting a lot of them this season, and they haven't come up trumps. Some costly errors. Basically, every goal they conceded tonight was a defensive error on their part. Going forward, they struggled. Apart from the set piece, they didn't really, create any openings, in open play and struggled as a result. From Sydney FC's point of view, it was quite the contrary. They came here not really expecting too much. Most of their forward line actually remained back in New South Wales, and they've come here, treated this game somewhat as a friendly and more of like a little bit of a run out. And, they've come here and they've got themselves into the round of 16 and made the Cove, who've made the long trip down here, quite satisfied. And I think, on the topic of being satisfied, I think Graham Arnold will be very happy. It wasn't an easy fixture. It was away from home against an A-League team. They could have been drawn against a much easier sort of team in this round of 32, but they've gotten City. They've come down here in really trying conditions, and they've got the win, and they get through to the round of 16. And I think Graham Arnold and Sydney FC and Tony Bunyata will be very satisfied with the result and also with the second half performance tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. It was defenceless errors, 2 penalties, and a very costly error from the goalkeeper that have cost Melbourne City here tonight. Sydney deserve credit. They attacked pretty well, and I will give my man of the match first off. Just before I finish, to Corey Gamero. I thought he was an absolute menace for the Melbourne City defence, and he played extremely well. And on the balance of play, Sydney, they just managed to get on top in the end.
All right, we've got Ali Abbas coming over to join us here. What we might do, Adam, is get you to walk back where the camera might be able to film Ali. We'll wait just for the wave from the cameraman to make sure that we're in range and able to hear from him. So we're not far away now from being joined by the Sydney FC star. And Adam Baroli, let's throw it down to you. You've got Ali Abbas with you. Ali, congratulations on your performance tonight. You can't hear us. Adam, if you can just turn the volume up on the pack there for Ali Abbas, we should be able to speak to him now. Stay with us, listeners. We will be...
Congratulations on the result. Playing 120 minutes, and it is still the pre-season. How did you feel going into that with our tired legs? Would you have felt a little bit more comfortable if you'd been a little further into the season?
It is hard for me and for all the boys that haven't played, but we played, I think, 2 games. I played 90 minutes against Newcastle and West Ham, and hopefully we can get there and our fitness getting up every game we played. So I think we've done really a good job today, and we need to get forward.
Ali, congratulations on the win tonight. You've come down to regional Victoria in Ballarat. It's freezing cold here tonight. Graham Arnold, before the game, what was his thoughts on this match? How much importance is he placing on the FFA Cup? Is it, something that's not really of a major priority, or is going there and doing well in this cup really important for Sydney FC?
I think it's really cold here. So we get back to the coach, and I think as we know, as I know, like, he don't like to lose, and we don't like to lose every game, even a friendly game. So that's his idea, and he put it in our head. We not lose any game, even friendly game, and we have to do it. So we keep it in our mind, not losing any game we played. So we done it, and hopefully we continue to do that.
And Adam, we'll let you ask the last question before Ali goes.
You've just come back from training with the A-League All-Stars. What was that experience like, and playing in such a big game against Juventus with Alessandro Del Piero, and how big it was for him?
It is a new experience for me. You played against like higher level player in Europe, like Juventus. I think I had a really good experience from the coach's staff, players. I get to know them. And he has different idea than our coach, so it's good to get a new idea for to improve your game, and I think I enjoyed that week with the All-Star games.
Ali, thank you so much for joining us. Congratulations on your performance. Enjoy the trip home, and well done on the win tonight.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. See you.
True professional there, Ali Abbas, joining us in light of a few little technical difficulties. But thank you to Adam Baroli as well for persisting there. And he's getting the appreciation and adulation of the Cove as he runs off as well. So full time here in the Westfield FFA Cup, Sydney FC 3, Melbourne City 1.
North Queensland in the final, and 2 New South Wales teams tonight.
Adam Baroli, your final thoughts on the match, please.
Look, Sydney would deserve it.